Part 57. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 562. Chapter 562, Revenge, Rescue. Xiao Jin entered his own body as soon as he came in, and Hians followed him. Very good, the spiritual energy here is so full, it deserves to be a forest of mythical beasts. As soon as Mei Shui came out, she felt that this place was special. Of course, this place is much better than the area where humans live, Jiao Long said with an arrogant look. Mei Shui rolled her eyes at her, but she was still so arrogant. How about having my space? Len Buting asked. Okay, Jiao Long shut his mouth. It made everyone laugh. The friends reunited again, and Hians was kind enough to let them play with Mei Shui for a while. After the fun, Hians and Mei Shui began to talk to Xiaobai and the others about their experience. They were so excited just now that they forgot about their cultivation, but now that their master mentioned it, they remembered it. At first glance, everyone frowned. It's time to get some training, especially Zhishan and Zhihan, Jiao Long said with a look of disgust. How old you are, how old they are. You have the nerve to dislike my grandson, you must be cowardly, Mei Shui said angrily. As soon as Mei Shui got angry, Jiao Long shut his mouth. It was very hard for the novices to hold back their laughter. Okay, you have lived here for a long time, so you should know which places are suitable for us to practice. Let's make arrangements now. Hians did not intend to continue chatting with them. Upon hearing this, Xiaobai and the others all put aside their playful mood. Think about it one by one. In the end, Xiao Cheng was taken away by Dabai. The two of them had a contract, and Dabai would not harm Xiao Cheng. Zhishan and Zhihan were taken away by the dragon. Hians and Mei Shui were separated. Because of Xiao Jin, Hians followed Xiao Hong directly to the Wuodao tea tree. Mei Shui was taken away by Xiaobai. 5 years have passed unknowingly in the forest of mythical beasts. Now Zhishan and Zhihan have grown into handsome young men. Xiao Cheng also cleaned himself up. His current cultivation level is not the same as when he was in the out-of-body stage. It is the period of integration. Soon, if we find an opportunity, we may be able to overcome the catastrophe. The reason why he was able to improve so quickly was mainly because of Mei Shui's space and the help of the divine beasts. Not only him, but also Mei Shui and Hians, but the most powerful one is Hians. Because he is mainly Lefa, after reaching the integration stage, he is comparable to the existence of a god. Lquanfa, this is not just talk. The only ones who are weaker are Zhishan and the others, who are all in the middle stage of out-of-body experience. To be able to reach this level of cultivation, one can imagine how much hardship they have endured over the years. However, the two of them never complained about pain or tiredness, and they all gritted their teeth and persevered. Such a great perseverance is also praised by everyone. This time, leaving the mythical beast forest, Mei Shui took Xiaobai and Jiao Long with her. No matter where they go to practice now, it is only a matter of time before they break through. They haven't moved, they are just waiting for their master to come together. Dabai is still a little worse. Xiaojin can't move now. If he wants to take it away, he will have to uproot it, which will cause some damage to Xiaojin. For this reason, Hians persuaded Xiao Jin that it would be a good idea to let the main body grow here. At least humans can't enter here, and even if they do, they can't get past the forest of 10,000 beasts. Very safe. Besides, the enlightenment tea tree is here, and it will also be of certain help to all beasts. I think Hians likes the beasts here more than humans. Because Mixu and others are leaving, Xiao Hong and Dabai are the most sad, but they know that they are not strong enough and cannot hinder their master's progress in ascension. So he stayed and practiced hard. When they left the forest of divine beasts, the soul-devouring land where it intersected with Qin state disappeared. After they gave up the mountain range that separated Qin state and the forest of divine beasts, They soon encountered people from Qin state. But everyone here is an adventurer. Those people's cultivation was pretty good. Hians didn't stop to interact with them, and left the mountains with his family. After they left, the adventurers looked towards the way they came. Everyone was full of surprise. It must be the forest of mythical beasts over there. They actually dare. It's a pity that Hians and the others couldn't hear such shocking words. As soon as Xiao Cheng returned to the imperial capital of Qin, the first thing he did was to avenge his lover. He had no hope of finding her soul again. Because he learned that Princess Li was a cruel person, and he was forced to leave at that time simply because he was not strong enough. But now, he is not afraid of those old and immortal people who have not been born. At least he has the strength to fight. On a dark and windy night in the Feng family, all the quilts of the direct lineage were hung at the gate to atone for the sins of the original daughter of the Feng family. Of course, the news of the Feng family could not be hidden from the people in the palace. When the emperor found out, he immediately thought of the alchemist Mei Shui who had left in a hurry. But the person at fault was Princess Li, and the emperor would not confront an alchemist because of Princess Li, so he chose to remain silent. But one person was very happy. That is the eldest prince. In the past 5 years, his strength has been improving day by day, and those princes and princesses who have cultivated before him are stronger. He was able to achieve such an achievement, and he knew very well why. So as soon as there was any movement in the Feng family, he immediately left the palace. His movements were noticed by the emperor. There is no right or wrong in the way the eldest prince behaves. He is just a man who is ambitious. The emperor is happy to see his eldest son who is optimistic about being so aggressive. If he does well this time, then he doesn't mind abdicating early and practicing with peace of mind. Practitioners long for immortality and will never die. If the dynasty was not passed down from their ancestors, I think they would be more willing to practice with peace of mind. Back then, becoming an emperor had many benefits, and the biggest benefit was the fate of the country. After Xiao Cheng killed these people, he took Feng Yan ran into the backyard of the Feng family. Since King Li was angered by the emperor, Princess Li Fengyangxia was sent back to her natal family. At last I did not divorce her. Because of her strength, King Li will not divorce his concubine for the time being. The emperor would not allow him to divorce his concubine. Who, since she was sent back to her family by King Li 4 years ago, she has not left the house. Why not come out? Just because she has better toys? That is to torture the soul of her sister-in-law. Hold the 3 souls and 7 souls in her hands. How could she live up to her status as her legitimate daughter if she didn't abuse them? If she hadn't been her mother back then, how could she have become a concubine that everyone looked down upon? Feng Yanran's mother is of course also a famous beauty. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also very powerful. But even so, it still fell on the word love in the end. In the end, the body will be born and the Tao will disappear early. I thought that the affectionate man would treat the daughter she gave birth to well, but I didn't expect that he would actually take back a daughter soon after her death. She was also promoted to the wife of the main wife. This is also the reason why Xiao Cheng takes action against all the direct family members. Since they don't treat her as a daughter, then why should he show mercy? Feng Yanran stared blankly into the distance, with no reaction no matter what she did. Xiao Cheng and Zhai Han supported her until the people in the room came out, then they put her on the stone bench in the courtyard and sat down. "Mom, watch out, this son will avenge you," Zhai Han said with red eyes. It's a pity that his mother still couldn't give him a reaction. At a dark passage in the house, a group of light was resisting with all its strength. Feng Yangxia saw 2 handsome men when she walked out. But she doesn't even know him. "Who are you, and why did you break into my Feng family?" Feng Yangxia was in the nascent soul stage, and she was only 1 step away from being distracted. But she was a little nervous about these 2 people. "You are breaking into the Feng family. What did you do and you forgot about it? Xiao Cheng looked at the woman with hatred. How did you treat Yan Ran back then? Then I'll let you have a taste of it. After Xiao Cheng finished speaking, he immediately started to take action. As a concubine, how could she have no one to protect her? As soon as Cheng Cheng made a move, someone immediately stepped forward to stop her. Without saying a word, Zhai Han immediately joined the battle. Father, if you go and deal with her, you must make her life worse than death, Zhai Han said with hatred. The father and son immediately divided their work and took action. Fen Yangxia laughed when she saw the woman sitting there blankly. It turns out that the sluts love her and are here. If that's the case, then you all can stay. Fen Yangxia also took action, and the target of her attack was the woman who was sitting there. She was dissatisfied, why her qualifications were better than hers, and why everyone in the clan could only see her. The same was true for King Li at the beginning, and the same is true for these two men now. So, women's jealousy is really poisonous. It depends on whether you have this ability. The attack of spiritual power made the small courtyard become messy. At that time, it was the difference in strength. After a while, Xiao Cheng and Zhai Han resolved the battle here. Looking at the woman lying on the ground like a rag, the two of them had no intention of killing her directly. You're going to her soul, right? Then I'll let you have a taste of it. Too. Xiao Cheng started sucking her soul without saying a word. While extracting, he intercepted her memory. All of a sudden, Xiao Cheng stayed. He threw away the woman's soul in his hand and said, "Honor, watch her, don't let her nascent soul escape." After saying that, he rushed into the house. The back of the bed found a secret passage in her memory. After going down, sure enough, he found her. Yan Ran. Xiao Cheng burst into tears before saying anything. "It's you, is it you? Why are you here? Come on, go on, they won't let you go." Yan Ran's soul was controlled, and she shouted at Xiao Cheng. "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid, I'm here to save you, I'm here to save you." Xiao Cheng felt very distressed, wondering how much she had suffered over the years. A bright light was wrapped by Xiao Cheng's spiritual power. After leaving the dark room, Xiao Cheng brought Fen Yan Ran's soul to the courtyard. Zhai Han is torturing the woman, making her life worse than death. These methods have been carefully practiced by him over the years. Xiao Cheng didn't even look at the person on the ground, and directly put his soul into her body. "Yan Ran feels a little painful, please bear with it, it will be fine soon." Over the years, his mother has helped Yan Ran take good care of her body. There will be no discomfort when the soul enters. Half an hour later, the stupid woman's eyes brightened. When she saw clearly what was in front of her, she saw this man at first sight. This man she had fallen in love with. Brother Cheng. Fen Yan Ran had not used her body for many years, and almost fell down as soon as she stood up. Xiao Cheng was quick-sighted and stepped forward to hug the person. "Be careful, I'm here, I'm here." The couple embraced each other for a long time. Such scenes immediately stimulated the woman on the ground who looked like rags. "Ah, bitch, bitch." No matter how she cursed, the two of them were not affected at all. Zhai Han couldn't stand it anymore. "Dad, can you hug me later? Let's get out of here first." Zhai Han was speechless. "Do you feel that your son is really unimportant?" The two of them were startled by their son's voice, and Fen Yan Ran immediately blushed. "Honor, you are Honor." She walked towards her son excitedly. This was the first time she saw him. He was taken away by the Feng family when he was born, and she didn't even bother to look at him. Seeing his mother's eyes red from crying, Zhai Han choked up and said, "Mom." Mother and son also hugged each other. It's a pity that they were separated within 3 seconds. "This is my wife." Xiao Cheng looked jealous. "I want to hug your own wife." After the father and son joked for a while, Xiao Cheng used his spiritual power to directly kill the people on the ground. The soul is destroyed. After leaving the Feng family, the figure of the eldest prince appeared in the backyard of the Feng family not long after. Looking at the dead people in the courtyard, the eldest prince looked disdainful. Let's go find Master Mei alchemy. The eldest prince's mind has been settling down in the past 2 years, and he is no longer what he was when he first recovered. Yes. Mei Shui and Hians were sleeping in the home they originally purchased. They knew when Xiao Cheng and the others came back, but they didn't go out to disturb their family gathering. It's okay to talk about anything tomorrow. The next day, the ugly daughter-in-law finally met her parents-in-law. But when Fen Yanran saw her parents-in-law, her face was filled with wonder. Because she never expected that her mother-in-law was actually younger than herself. Mom, this is the daughter-in-law I am looking for, Zhaihan's mother. Yanran. Xiao Cheng introduced his daughter-in-law to his parents with some arrogance. Fen Yanran was very embarrassed and pulled Xiao Cheng's sleeve. Mei Shui and the others saw every little move. Well, let's have breakfast first. Mei Shui gave them a smile, then walked to the table and sat down. Let's talk after dinner. Bring some soup for your wife to drink, Mei Shui said to Xiao Cheng as soon as she sat down. Xiao Cheng was very happy after hearing this. It's better to have a mother's child, he sighed and ran out. Seeing him like this, Zhishan rolled his eyes unkindly, pulled his cousin beside him and said, "Did you see that all the men in the family behave like this after marrying a wife? I think that the sound is very light, but they are all people who do it. Who can't hear it?" Hians hit Zhishan on the head with his chopsticks angrily. "You are the only one who talks a lot. If you have the ability, go find a wife and come back." Well, the person who loves his wife the most in the family has spoken, and Zhishan can only sit down obediently. Looking at the aunt, he smiled and said, "Hello, aunt, I am Zhishan." Zhishan introduced himself very familiarly. Seeing that she was a little uncomfortable, Mei Shui smiled and held her hand. "He is from the second child's family, Xiao Cheng is the third child, so I should call you aunt. Remember to vote and subscribe. Thank you all." End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 563. Chapter 563, Looking for Xiao Peng. Yes, Zhishan is a good boy. She had just escaped. She didn't have much to offer, and she didn't even have a greeting gift, so she felt very embarrassed. Mei Shui took out a storage bag from the space and said, "Here, this is the gift my mother gave you, keep it." Fen Yanran became a little confused. This. Zhaihan saw that his mother was at a loss and immediately helped her take it. "Mom, take it. Grandma has a lot of good things." "Yeah, this kid. You talk a lot, how can I still talk less than you?" With the children and Mei Shui joking, the atmosphere gradually became harmonious. Xiaobai and the others haven't been out to play for a long time. They disappeared early in the morning, so they missed meeting Fen Yanran. It was not their intention, but their restless hearts did not allow them to stay quietly at home. Fen Yanran's sobriety also brought new members to the He family. Meixiu didn't like her daughter-in-law very much, but she didn't dislike her either. At least she liked Xiaoyu more than Xiaoyu. After all, she had raised her since she was a child. After Xiao Cheng brought the soup that Mei Shui prepared for her, Mei Shui asked everyone to eat together. Now their food is mainly based on spiritual plants, and every dish is made of spiritual plants. Even the rice is grown by Mei Shui in the space. I don't know how many generations have passed, but now they are completely spiritual seeds. Xiao Cheng, now that Yan Ran's matter has been resolved, I think we should leave the imperial city. He always felt that he couldn't stay in the imperial city for too long. It's not that they are afraid, but it's not good for them if they get too involved with one country. Xiao Cheng didn't like this place at all. He came back this time for revenge. If it weren't for Yan Ran, he wouldn't have joined Huang Cheng again. "Dad, I listen to you." Shortly after breakfast, the eldest prince arrived. Mei Shui was not surprised at all by his arrival. She knew that the eldest prince was ambitious as soon as he woke up. She gave him the Po Yuan Den because she benefited from it. She didn't like owing favors to strangers. "Grandma, do you want to see me?" Zhaihan was very unhappy with the people in the imperial city. Looking at his pouting and unhappy expression, Mei Shui smiled and said, "You are young and have quite a temper. Do you think it's okay if the eldest prince doesn't see you? No matter how you say it, there is a connection between her and the eldest prince, and it would be bad if they don't see each other. While I'm going to put on makeup, please invite me to the living room first." Mei Shui got up and walked to the back of the courtyard. "For the sake of peace in the future, you have to hide what needs to be hidden." Hian sat calmly on the chair and said nothing. Besides, he would not deny Mei Shui's decision. Zhaihan obediently walked out and brought the eldest prince in. At the door, Zhaihan looked at the arrogant look on the eldest prince's face, and he became angry. "Your eldest prince, my grandmother invites you." Zhaihan opened the door and asked the prince to come in. However, the people behind the eldest prince did not stop and followed up one by one, but were stopped by Zhaihan. "I'm sorry everyone, my grandmother only saw the eldest prince." Bold without waiting for the eldest prince's reply, the servants serving the eldest emperor immediately shouted. Zhaihan was not afraid of him. His cultivation level was not as high as his. He said with a reluctance, "Grandma only invites the eldest prince to come in." The eldest prince frowned, but he soon smiled and said, "Nothing, just wait outside." If Yu's Hixing, if the alchemist wanted to harm him, he would not have saved him in the first place. Yes, the eldest prince. After hearing the emperor's words, the palace people took a few steps back one by one until they exited the gate. Seeing them being so obedient, Zhaihan gave them a rare smile. "The eldest prince, please." Zhaihan brought the eldest prince to the front hall, where Hians had already been waiting. Seeing the people coming, Hians did not get up and drank tea alone. His cultivation is shown here. Even if the emperor comes to him, he does not need to salute. The eldest prince looked up and immediately bowed obediently. "I've met the adults." Seeing that the eldest prince had a good temper, Zhaihan also introduced him. "This is my grandfather. Grandma will be here soon." He knew that the alchemist had a son, but he didn't know that the alchemist's husband was still there, but now that he saw it, he was indeed a little surprised. "Good. The eldest prince, please take a seat." After a while Zhishan helped the eldest prince get tea. They eat and drink from the space, but they are not so stingy as to not let people drink when they use it to entertain guests. The tea is Wuodao tea. When Mei Shui came out this time, she looted the Wuodao tea tree, and Xiao Jin was so angry that his eyes turned red. This is the rhythm of stripping off his clothes. Of course, there are good and bad teas. It is certainly not the best part of Wuodao tea to be used for polite purposes. In Mei Shui's words, the old leaves are great and are best used as gifts. The eldest prince thanked him politely and took the tea to drink. As soon as the tea entered his mouth, he immediately noticed the difference. "Perhaps it was the first time I drank it, and the benefits of enlightenment tea became apparent. The eldest prince is obviously benefiting from this." Several people saw him like this and quietly left the living room. "Leave this place to the eldest prince." When Mei Shui came out, she saw them sitting in the courtyard. After asking, she learned that the eldest prince was enlightening. "It seems that Lai Bang Bang is still useful," Mei Shui said with a smile. "Of course, I don't care who owns it." Xiao Jin floated out of Hian's sea of consciousness and said. "Yes, your clothes are the most valuable." Mei Shui smiled and glanced at Xiao Jin. "Of course, but you really went too far and actually stripped me naked." Thinking of this, Xiao Jin became more and more angry every day. "Your old leaves will fall off sooner or later. I pulled them out for you and you should thank me." "I thank you." Looking at their bickering, the corners of Hian's lips raised slightly. "By the way, where are Xiaobai and the others? When do you plan to come back?" Hians interrupted them and asked. This matter will be known. Uncle Ziobai said he was going out to find delicious food and would not come back until evening. Well, just don't delay your departure, Hians nodded. Okay, where are Xiao Cheng and Yan Ran? Have they gone to practice? Mei Shui asked when she came out and saw no one. Well, my mother said she won't go out to meet people anymore, just to consolidate her cultivations, Hai Han replied. The separation of my soul from my body still caused great harm to Fen Yan Ran. It is necessary to use these few days to strengthen myself. Besides, the place they are going to this time is Danzong. No one knows what will happen. It is better to be stronger. The eldest prince's enlightenment was due to chance, and opportunities may be long or short. Less than half an hour, the eldest prince woke up. As soon as he woke up, he noticed changes in himself. In this regard, he thought highly of the alchemist's family. He didn't dare to mention the original plan now. Of course, if the alchemist could stay, he wouldn't lose her. After straightening his clothes, the eldest prince walked out of the living room. When he came to the courtyard, he saw the alchemist and his family drinking tea there, but the tea was not the kind he drank just now. Mei Shui is not stupid, shouldn't good things be hidden? If it were just normal, no one would care about it. The eldest prince is awake, come and sit down. Mei Shui looked at the eldest prince, smiled and waved to him. I have seen the alchemist is his savior, and he must be polite. You're welcome, the eldest prince, come and sit. Mei Shui pointed to the position next to her and said to the eldest prince. Zhaiban was sitting next to his grandma. Seeing this, he immediately stood up and gave up his seat. What is the reason that the eldest prince came to see me this time? Not only did Mei Shui put on makeup, Hians also changed his appearance because of his cultivation. At least now it seems to have some ancient power. While the eldest prince was chatting with Mei Shui, Zhishan and Zhaihan left the courtyard obediently. Hians was just a tool. He didn't speak during the whole process and only served Mei Shui with tea. These are spirit flower teas. The eldest prince took a sip and put it down. It was very different from the tea he drank just now. But it's also a good thing. Since the alchemist is unwilling to stay in the imperial city, Hong Yuan will not keep many alchemists. However, Hong Yuan has prepared some things for the alchemist and asked the alchemist to accept them. The eldest prince understood that the cultivation of these two people was not something he should compete with. Besides, he did not want to have another alchemist enemy. Even the ancestor would give the alchemist a little respect, let alone him. Then thank you, eldest prince. Mei Shui was not stupid, so she would not be polite to him. Besides, her tea was free of charge. Xiao Jin still needs to be coaxed. After seeing off the eldest prince, Mei Shui and others also planned to take a walk in the imperial city. I just happened to play with Ziobai and the others for a few days. 3 days passed in a flash in the imperial city. The matter of the Feng family was silenced by the emperor. The people taking over the Feng family now are from another branch, but they are very good at doing things. After knowing some information, he came to the He family yard with generous gifts. After meeting the alchemist, I also met Fen Yan Ran. Fen Yan Ran had no good feelings or ill intentions toward this uncle. As long as the Feng family does not have her in the future. The head of the Feng family is not stupid, and he doesn't say much and leaves obediently. The things in the imperial city are very comprehensive. Mei Shui bought some food and clothing, and then left the imperial city with her family after making some preparations. This departure was silent again. After hearing this, the eldest prince just smiled bitterly and shook his head. Your Majesty, do you regret it? The queen knew her child well, and she was very clear about what he thought. The eldest prince shook his head and sighed, there is nothing to regret. The alchemist should not be trapped in the imperial dynasty. If princes like them don't ascend the throne, the future will be difficult. So, he had no choice. Son, the relationship between the alchemist and you must not be forgotten, but a royal person should also be as decisive as a royal person. As a person who has experienced this, the queen certainly knows the consequences of connecting fate with the dynasty. Yes, the alchemist is my benefactor. In the end, the eldest prince finally thought about it. The last time Xiao Cheng found news about Danzong was in a dilapidated village. This time, they stepped in again. Xiao Cheng looked at the village that looked like a dead village, and he felt very excited. Grandma, look at these people, do they look like the zombies we see on TV? Zhishan has been in modern society for so long and has watched TV a lot. Looking at those corrupt humans, I immediately thought of zombies. Meixia covered her mouth and nose and turned over the villagers who had died early on the ground. Look, and these people are very much like the experimental subjects in modern society. Don't ask them why they know. As far as their status in modern times is concerned, they know many things, but as long as they don't appear in the Dragon Kingdom, they won't care too much. Hians looked along Mei Shui's hand and frowned when he saw the things under the dead people. I'm afraid that Danzong didn't do this over the years, he has gradually learned about some things in the world of cultivation. At the end of the day, Danzong is a place for alchemy training. They can be obsessed with alchemy training, but they will definitely not engage in these methods. On the contrary, these actions are more like what they call evil practices. This is the state of Qin. I am afraid that the appearance of evil cultivators has not alarmed those in the state of Qin, otherwise they would not have appeared in such a remote mountain village. It seems that we have to deal with the imperial court. Mei Shui sighed. Originally I thought they were staying away, but now it seems that they have been involved for a long time because of Xiaopeng's matter. In this case, they have definitely earned this merit. Xiao Cheng, take Jiaolong and return to the dynasty immediately and report what happened here to the emperor. Since you are responsible for the destiny of the country, you should bear its responsibility. Xiao Cheng himself is a victim, and of course he hates these people. Without saying a word, he and Jiaolong flew away. Ans, let's look around again. This place is remote, but the village is not small. I'm afraid there are other villages not far around. Well, let's look for any survivors. They didn't move at the scene, and they had to let people from the dynasty take a look. Otherwise, I'm afraid they won't be able to distinguish the importance. Among them, Fen Yanran has the lowest cultivation level, and Mei Shui personally takes her walking. High in the sky, you can see the distance. Soon they discovered another village, but they didn't know if there were any survivors. Over there. The Kinlan Mountains are very large, and they directly surround the three kingdoms. No one knows what is in the depths of the Kinlan, and no one has truly traveled throughout the entire Kinlan. Having direct contact with Kinlan is the Sea of Death. No one has ever set foot there, and no one knows anything about it. So if you want to find out these things, you have to cooperate with the royal people. At least they have been in Qin for many years, and they must know more than them. It took Xiao Cheng 2 days to get to the imperial city. As soon as they entered the city, the two of them flew directly to the imperial palace. Their figures were of course seen by the guards. Be on alert immediately. Not only that, some elders in the dynasty were also alarmed. Xiao Cheng's cultivation level is shown here. Once his momentum is released, it is difficult not to be alarmed. Soon, Xiao Cheng arrived at the palace. As soon as the emperor saw the visitor, he immediately stood up from his seat. Why are you here? The emperor still had a better impression of the alchemist's son. Xiao Cheng is not a fool, I am here in a rush and flying in the imperial dynasty. If I offend you, please don't take offense at His Majesty the Emperor. The Emperor was a little unhappy at first, but when he heard what he said, the anger in his heart disappeared a lot. Why are you in such a hurry? But the alchemist is busy, every force respects the alchemist. No, my mother is fine, but... Before Xiao Cheng could finish speaking, there were several strong breaths coming from outside. Xiao Chen didn't say anything and just carried it on. Not only him, but also Qiaolong took action together. There was no other way. There were many people in his family, and his cultivation level was almost the same as that of Xiao Cheng. Stop, ancestor, this is the emperor's friend. The emperor saw that the situation was wrong and immediately stopped. A man wearing a monk's robe walked in. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 564. Chapter 564, Evil Cultivator. Emperor, who is this person? Why did you break into my palace? The person who came was none other than the third elder of the royal family and the person in charge of the safety of the dynasty. Hello, third elder, this is the son of Master Mei Alchemy. He must have something important to do here. Please be kind to the third elder. The emperor was still very polite to his elder. Humph! The third elder waved his hand, and those people wearing similar clothes to him immediately stopped. Xiao Cheng and Qiaolong are not afraid of them, and they are not afraid of a real fight. As long as the people are too old, they can't run away, and they don't care about evil cultivators. I'm rude. Xiao Cheng knew that the situation was serious, so he didn't take Qiao seriously, and immediately apologized to the royal elders. But the situation is serious, please listen to me, the emperor. Xiao Cheng informed the emperor about their discovery of the evil cultivator. The emperor was shocked after hearing this. There are actually evil cultivators in our Qin country, this. The emperor obviously didn't believe it. How many years have passed and the evil cultivator can be said to have ceased to exist, but what did he hear now? The third elder also frowned. But he knew more things than the emperor, so he was not surprised. Where did you find it? But near the Sea of Death. Although the third elder looked relaxed on his face, he was also nervous in his heart. Xiao Cheng recalled the route and found that it was indeed very close to the Sea of Death. Yes, it's about 10 kilometers away from the Sea of Death. Hearing Xiao Cheng's words, the third elder breathed a sigh of relief. Just rest in the palace, I will report this to the elders. After saying that, the third elder left. Seeing him like this, the emperor and Xiao Cheng didn't understand. I'm afraid these royal elders knew about the evil cultivators. Over the years, I heard that many innocent people have disappeared, but there are only two types of disappearances in the world of cultivation. One is that he got a chance and was blocked by the way of heaven. The second one is death. Xiao Cheng waited for 3 days. 3 days later, the royal family held a court meeting. The emperor talked about evil cultivators in the court hall. When the ministers learned about it, they were all surprised. It's not their fault. The main reason is that the evil cultivator has disappeared in Qin for so many years. They still remember what happened back then, but they didn't expect that just a short time later, the evil cultivator appeared again. Your Majesty, I am willing to eradicate evil cultivators. A military general stood up and said. After someone set an example, many others followed suit. Looking at the ministers in the court, the emperor also smiled rarely. I understand your feelings, so I will leave this matter to the elders first. You can conduct a thorough inspection of the imperial city and major towns. You must remember that people who cannot cause trouble will be panicked. Xiao Cheng doesn't know about Chaishang's arrangements. After the royal group of elders was dispatched, he took them directly to meet his parents. Qiaolong remained silent throughout the whole process. She was only responsible for Xiaokeng's safety. On the other side, Mei Shui and the others discovered several empty villages. Everyone in the village died miserably. It seems that Xiaopeng is involved in evil cultivators. Hians looked at the corpse on the ground with some worry. Judging from the level of cultivation that Xiao Cheng and the others entered this world, they really may not have the ability to protect themselves. Seeing that his master and the others were so worried, Xiaobai also spoke to comfort them. Master, little Master Ji, people have their own destiny, don't worry, they will be fine. Are such words of comfort useful? Mei Shui sighed, I hope so. Let's go and wait for Xiao Chang. A few days have passed, and I don't know if the imperial court takes it to heart. Several people returned the same way. By the time they arrived, Xiao Cheng and the others had already led the group of elders to the first village they discovered. Looking at the corpses on the ground, the elders were all frightened. These evil cultivators seem to be more powerful than Yuxiang, one of the elders said. This was the first time Xiao Cheng learned about evil cultivators, and he didn't know many things. So it was difficult for him to understand the mood of the elders. What should we do now? An elder asked, looking into the distance. Should we search again? We must look for it. These evil cultivators should not exist in the world. They are violating the laws of heaven, the elder in charge said. Just as they were preparing to leave, they noticed something coming. Everyone became nervous. But when he saw the person coming, Xiao Cheng shouted happily, Mom and Dad, where have you been? Hearing Xiao Cheng's words, the elders breathed a sigh of relief. After all, the people coming here were not low in cultivation, and even if they joined forces, they might not be able to defeat them. Xiao Cheng, seeing her son return safely, Mei Shui smiled and responded. Mom, these are the elders of the imperial dynasty. They are here to check on the evil cultivators. Xiao Cheng informed his parents of the identity of the visitor. After greeting everyone, Hians told them one by one about the villages they had discovered these days, so that they can be mentally prepared. What clues can you find? Asked the elder in charge. Hians shook his head, no, but we can go to the nearest village and have a look. Maybe we can find something. Hians discussed with several elders the matter of evil cultivators. After discussing it, everyone dug a hole for the bones on the ground and buried them. Not just this village, but all the villages they found. Seeing those shocking bones, the elders were very angry. No matter how angry they are, these villagers will not survive. All they can do is avenge these villagers. There was a village less than 100 kilometers away from here. When they arrived, they found that this village was full of living people. But they are all sick. This discovery made them a little excited. Finally, there is a clue. After entering the village, the elders identified themselves. The village chief received them personally. After learning that they were a group of elders, the village chief was very happy. Their village was finally saved. It's not that they haven't asked for help. They invited a lot of doctors and pharmacists, and the lord of the city not far away also sent people to help them see the doctor. It's a pity that no one can find out what happened to them. The city lord had no choice but to invite an alchemist to come over, but the alchemist he invited was not of high grade, and even after using some elixirs, it did not help. The city lords are now recruiting alchemists to treat diseases in the village. After listening to what the village chief said, the elders had a good impression of the city lord. The Qin state regards the court as the most respected one, and the city lord is their parent official. If he can do this, it can be said that the city lord is very qualified. Okay, village chief, please help us arrange a place to live. First, we have an alchemist accompanying us. Let the alchemist check your condition first, the elder in charge said. The village chief is extremely grateful. Thank you so much, elder, and thank you so much, the alchemist. The village chief didn't know who the alchemist was, but that didn't stop him from being grateful. Mei Shui didn't show any pretense. She took Zhishan and Zhihan and started checking the people in the village. After checking it, Mei Shui had some ideas. She only thought their illness was strange, but she couldn't figure out what the illness was. Zhishan and Zhihan were equally confused. Fortunately, they like to practice medicine on weekdays. They have produced a lot of elixirs and gave some detoxifying pills to the villagers. but the effect is not big enough to relieve some of their pain. Xiao Bai looked at these people and his brows never relaxed. He always felt that these diseases were familiar, but he just couldn't remember what it was. Not only Xiao Bai Fang, but also everyone else can't figure it out. At night, Hians pulled Xiao Jin out and asked him to see what the people here were like. Compared to Xiao Bai, Xiao Jin had a longer history. After seeing it, Xiao Jinchi discovered that if this disease cannot be cured, it will turn into the corpse they found before. But they are not poisoning, but a kind of medicine that stimulates the human body. This kind of medicine sounds good to stimulate human nature, but in fact it is a test method. Just to see if they have the qualifications to practice the exercises. Such things existed in ancient times, but there were no complications like they are now. And the prescription is complete. You will know whether you can practice after taking a pill. Because the exercises practiced by each force are different, the elixirs produced by everyone are also different. I don't know if Dan Fang was lost, which led to the current situation. Xiao Jin told Hians what he knew. After hearing this, Hians asked, "What kind of elixir is it?" "It's the soul-purifying pill." Xiaojin pondered and then said, "This pill is considered a 6th grade pill. They can't practice it yet, but the medicinal materials in this pill are very rare, at least in this era." After listening to Xiao Jin's words, Mei Shui was at a loss because she had never heard of soul-cleansing pill. Even if it is only a 6th grade elixir. She didn't understand the elixir, so she couldn't figure out the medicinal materials inside. Xiao Jin definitely knows. So he recited all the medicines for the soul-purifying pill to Mei Shui. There are a total of 108 kinds of medicinal materials in it. 10 main medicines. The 10 main medicines can be added at will. Divided according to the 5 elements. So it is applicable to all forces. What should we do now? The antidote pill we have prepared cannot remove the medicinal properties in it, so we can't just watch these people die, right? Mei Shui said unbearably. There is nothing Xiaojin can do about it. What do you think? We asked Dan Zong to solve it, Hian said after seeing Mei Shui's unbearable look. That's the only way it can be. I don't know where the Dan sect is. The Dan sect is such a good sect, why can't it escape from the world? Mei Shui was a little confused. Since they couldn't think of a good solution, they could only discuss it with the elders. As the elders of a dynasty, they must know some things about Dan sect. Sure enough, after the meeting between the two parties, when they mentioned Dan Zone, all the elders laughed. Yes, why did we forget about Dan Zone? The elder in charge has been very gloomy these days, but now it's better, the sun has finally arrived. Elder, does he know where the Dan sect is? Mei Shui asked with a look of anticipation on her face. Seeing her like this, the elder also laughed. I know, but it's a bit off. Danzong is surrounded by formations. Most people can't find it. Even if they accidentally enter, they will be teleported out by the formations. He is so confident only because the dynasty has a teleportation array dedicated to Danzong. Lao San, you take Master Mei to the alchemy section. The emergence of evil cultivators is not a one-person affair, it is a major event for the whole world. It was obvious from the elders' words that the alchemy sect also had to contribute to the world. Yes, the third elder responded. Of course Mei Shui was worried about going to greet Ans alone, so he asked Jiao Long to follow him. The elders didn't say much about this. Mei Shui's cultivation level is such that she won't worry about being bullied by Duze. With the addition of space, Hians felt even more at ease. Of course, he also knew that the elders could not let all of them go. It just so happens that the two of them are women, so people won't think too much about it. At that moment, the third elder returned to the dynasty with Mei Shui and Jiao Long. After returning home, after communicating with the emperor and the ancestors, the third elder took them directly into the teleportation array. In the dynasty, the emperor was very worried. They actually want to dispatch Dan Zone. I'm afraid things are not that simple. The teleportation array is directly connected to the inner gate of Danzong. The third elder, Mei Shui, and others were immediately surrounded by people as soon as they moved to Danzong. After seeing that it was the teleportation formation of the dynasty, those people backed away one by one. A person in charge came over and said, "I wonder what's going on with the arrival of people from the imperial court." The person in charge was very kind. The third elder knew the character of the people here and did not put on any airs of being an elder. Being more harmonious. "I am the third elder among the current elders of the dynasty, and I have come to see the head of the Dan section. The principal of the Dan sect is the person who manages the affairs of the Dan section. If you are concerned about evil cultivation, just go to the principal. There will be no chaos in the world and the sect leader will not leave. This is the will of Danzong." When the steward heard that he was going to meet with the head of the Dan sect, he immediately understood the seriousness. "Please wait a moment, third elder." The steward helped them arrange a room for rest, and then he went to report. They went up one level at a time, and it was only on the second day that they met the head of the Dan sect. But no one expected that the head of the Dan sect was actually a woman. Looking very young. But no one would dare to despise her just because she is young. "I've met the chief," the third elder said politely. The smiling chief looked very kind. "Third elder, you are so polite. I wonder what happened to the dynasty." The third elder did not dare to waste any more time here and immediately reported the evil cultivator. After hearing this, the host was very surprised. "It's been 300 years, right? The evil cultivator is back again." The expression on the principal's face became increasingly difficult to look at. "Humph, since they dare to come out, they are going against our Danzong. You go back and tell your old man to get ready. Our Danzong people will arrive at the imperial court in 3 days. From this tone, I think I am very familiar with the ancestors of Qin. But her face really doesn't look like she has lived for so long." Seeing that the matter was resolved, Mei Shui did not dare to delay. Immediately took 2 steps forward and said, "Sir, may I ask if you know the soul cleansing pill? The Dan sect focuses on practicing elixirs, so I guess they must know the soul cleansing pill." Sure enough, upon hearing Mei Shui's words, the boss, who had not noticed her at all just now, looked at Mei Shui. "Little girl, how did you know about soul cleansing pill?" Even though she was smiling, her eyes were very sharp. Mei Shui is not stupid. She came from the end of the world and has experienced people's hearts. How can she not see her clearly? "I learned from an ancient book that the evil cultivators now use a kind of poison, which is a simple version of the soul cleansing pill. The better sounding version is the simple version. In the soul cleansing pill, there are 108 kinds of medicinal materials and more than 40 kinds of poisons. It is not easy to be trained into a soul cleansing elixir by the sages. Ancient books, it seems you are in good luck." The host sat down elegantly, raised his hand and drank tea. Meixu was not in a hurry and was waiting for the second half of her sentence. "Please vote for everyone." End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 565. Chapter 565, Danzong's Daily Life. Playing psychological warfare, huh, she's not afraid yet. After finishing the tea, he put down the teacup with a smile. Not bad. I don't know what she is boasting about. To achieve such a level of cultivation at such a young age was not achieved through accumulation of pills. This shows that one has a great opportunity. This is what I said. Mei Shui doesn't like to hear it. No matter how great the opportunity is, you must have this qualification, otherwise no matter how many opportunities you have, it will be in vain. She is not afraid of verbal disputes. The person in charge laughed. Interesting, interesting. She has only seen 2 such interesting people in the past 100 years. She is the third one. But those 2 were smaller than her and had sharper mouths. "I know soul cleansing pill, You don't mean to say that those evil cultivators choose disciples in the world, do you? It's possible, but the soul cleansing pill is not complete, Mei Shui responded. The two of them were talking back and forth. The third elder couldn't understand, but he didn't say much. Be quiet and listen. Oh, it seems that the evil cultivators are lacking in talent now. Hundreds of years ago, they only managed to escape 100 people. Mei Shui doesn't know what happened hundreds of years ago, and doesn't want to know. I wonder if your sect can help the people outside. I don't know. The person in charge shook his head, but don't worry, it's a matter of evil cultivators, and our alchemy sect will not ignore it. Seeing this, Mei Shui said no more. But since she came to Danzong, she also asked about Xiaopeng. Sir, I have some unkind feelings, Mei Shui Fulai. She did not let down her figure when talking about world affairs, but now, the person in charge put away the smile on her face. Tell me about it. 17 years ago, there was no one man and one woman in Danzong. Since Danzong is so difficult to enter, the arrival of Xiaopeng and Xiaoyu will definitely be fresh in everyone's memory. As she spoke, Mei Shui looked directly into the eyes of the principal. When she mentioned a man and a woman, it was obvious that her mouth twitched twice. Huh, what does this have to do with you? Those two people were more venomous than the other. If she hadn't taken a fancy to their abilities, she would have shot them to death. It's a pity that she couldn't stay in Danzong as she wished. Master, look, are they these two people? Mei Shui took out a photo of Xiaopeng and Xiaoyu from her arms and handed it to the chief. She hopes it's Xiaopeng and the others, but she doesn't want it to be them. The host took it and took a look. It was the two people, but what kind of thing could it keep people on it? It was so similar. Even if he was surprised, the person in charge did not show it too obviously. He handed the things back to her and nodded, yes, it's the two of them. When Mei Shui heard this, she looked excited. I wonder if they are still in Danzong now. Found them, finally found them. After searching for so long, I finally have some news. The principal sighed. They were indeed in Danzong before, but they were taken away by the people above during the Danzong's 10-year competition. Looking at her appearance, I think the two of them are different from her. In addition, the two of them are really capable and can be favored by those in Wulai realm. I think they will achieve extraordinary things in the future. If they can sell well now, they can sell well. Above, Mei Shui was a little confused as to what it meant. The person in charge didn't care about the existence of the third elder, and talked to Mei Shui about the division of the world. There is another realm above their world, called the realm of Weivue. The people there are at the lowest level of cultivation in the stage of transcending tribulation, unlike here, where the highest level of cultivation is only in the stage of transcending tribulation. Some people may not be able to achieve it in their lifetime. Actually, she still envied those two little guys. However, she is not the kind of person who doesn't like others. She has her own way and her own opportunities. If she could not ascend in this life, she would accept it. No matter what, she will not go astray. The world of Weivue is the gathering place of all small worlds. The training geniuses from all the worlds gather there, and going there is not always a good thing. After listening to the chief's words, Mei Shui and the third elder seemed to have re-recognized the world. It turns out that they are only medium worlds. Okay, that's all I know. If you want to find them, the first is to ascend, and the second is to find the teleportation array in each world. Anyway, don't even think about the teleportation array here in our Danzong, because opening, and it's not up to us to shut it down. The principal's intention was obvious, so why didn't Mei Shui not know it? But, this is not important, as long as there is a chance. The cultivation during the integration period gave them a chance to go further, so they had plenty of time to look for Xiaopeng and the others. The third elder left the alchemy sect with Mei Shui and the news about the alchemy sect and the elixir given by the chief. Meixiu didn't know how close Danzong was. She felt threatened when she got here. She did not dare to move. Back at the dynasty, the third elder did not delay. After explaining the situation to the group of elders, he immediately flew away. Meixiu and Jiaolong also returned to their phalanx. Are you okay? Seeing Mei Shui coming back, He Ans hurried over and asked. Mei Shui looked at him with a chuckle. I'm fine, I heard about Xiaopeng. They are not the busy ones now, so they have time to talk about Xiaopeng and the others. Everyone gathered together, and Mei Shui told the news she had learned. After hearing this, Xiaobai sighed, the world was originally one, but I didn't expect it to fall apart now. How the ancient times are too far away from their present, and it is useless to know too much. What He Ans and Mei Shui are most worried about now is whether Xiaopeng will be alright in Danzong. Have you and Xiaoyu been bullied? The rest is not important. The evil cultivator's plan was interrupted, and they were not the kind of people to swallow their anger. No, when Danzong's people were around, they launched a war. Mei Shui and the others cannot stay out of such a war and join in. It's a pity that everyone still underestimates the power of evil cultivators. Even Mei Shui and He Ans were surrounded by several high-ranking evil cultivators. This battle lasted for a year and a half. Even though the time was so short, there were many casualties in the process. Although the Qin state did not suffer any injuries, many ordinary people below died. The population has decreased by about 1/10. Even if the battle is over now, not all the evil cultivators will die. They all fled the Qin state and fled towards the Dead Sea. I don't know how they survived in the Dead Sea. This has also become a mystery. Because I have collaborated with Dynasty once, both sides have very good senses. When they were leaving, the Emperor of Qin once again invited them to join the royal family for worship. What a pity, that is not their ambition. After bidding farewell to Emperor Qin, Mei Shui, He Ans and others embarked on the journey to find the teleportation array. His cultivation level has not fallen behind either. There is no realm of delusion. He Shipeng was sitting in his courtyard, looking at the stars in the sky. He put down the wine glass in his hand. I really raise my head to look at the bright moon and lower my head to miss my hometown. Not far behind him, a beautiful woman dressed as a woman came out carrying dishes. Brother Xiaopeng, you can eat now. The person who came was none other than his wife, his lover, Xiaoyu. Stop working, I'm not very hungry, don't tire yourself. Seeing her washing her hands and making soup, he felt very sour in his heart. Xiaoyu looked at the deep affection in his eyes, and she understood him. I do. Okay, I can't beat you every time, come over and sit down, let's have a drink together. He had nothing else to think about these days and missed his relatives every day. If he had known that they would be so far apart, he would not have left his parents and children even if he died. Over the years, they regretted it after learning that they could not leave here. But even so, he is not as regretful as he is now. Xiaoyu, if you calculate your age, Zhishan is only 17 this year, right? Xiaopeng said as he filled their wine glasses. She knew what he was thinking and understood his heart. She didn't miss her son. She not only missed her son, she also missed her parents, parents-in-law, and her eldest brother. But what's the use of just thinking about it? They can't leave here. I want to leave from here, but I don't know when. The teleportation formations in each lower realm are controlled by various forces. It is true that they are members of the Dan sect, but the Dan sect cannot go to the lower realm at any time. If you want to continue, you have to wait for the next 10 years. For below it is 10 years, but here, it is 100 years. But fortunately, they survived. In another 10 years, they can go to the lower world, find Zio by then, and then return to the modern world. They miss their parents and relatives. Brother Xiaopeng, don't think about it, wait a little longer, we will see. Zhishan speaking of her son, Xiaoyu could no longer hold back her tears. Seeing that he had made her cry again, Xiaopeng's heart ached. It's all my fault. Okay, don't say it, I won't say it. Xiaopeng put down the wine glass and gently held the person in his arms. Let's talk about other things. Will there be a disciple assessment tomorrow? Do you want to go? There are new people starting in Danzong every day. Because their mother has had their spiritual roots and muscles well conditioned since they were young, everything goes smoothly for them in their cultivation journey. Even if they later became the Dan sect, they are still the first elders of the inner sect. Let alone their master. Their master is not the master of the Dan sect, but he is not bad either. Their master is called Pengzu, and even in the inner sect of Danzong, he is also called Yaizuzu by the sect leader. Hence, their status is higher than that of the sect leader, but unfortunately, they are too young. Xiaopeng wiped the tears from her face and began to slowly shift her attention. How about I go with you tomorrow? With status like them, there is no need to take part in the entrance examination for new disciples. But they were both bored. Now my mind is not stable, and I have no intention of practicing alchemy. So find yourself something to do. Xiaoyu also put away her tears. No, there won't be many people tomorrow, I can just go by myself. She didn't let him go out. What if he was noticed by others? Even after experiencing so much, her thoughts were all on her face in front of him. How could Xiaopeng not know what she was thinking? You don't believe me so much. He pinched her nose angrily and said. Xiaoyu shook her head. It's not that I don't believe you, it's that I don't believe them. Why do you look so good? You are as gorgeous as mom. Well, Xiaoyu was really angry. She actually used the word gorgeous to describe him. Okay, let's eat quickly. After eating early, we can go back to the house and rest early. After so many years, we have to work hard to give birth to a sister for Zhishan. This virtue is really the same as that of Hian's. If I could have given birth, I would have given birth a long time ago. With our current level of cultivation, it is not that easy to have a child. She also wanted to give birth, but she couldn't get pregnant. It's okay. Master said last time that he was practicing the Bai Zi Dan. Let's wait and we will definitely have another one by then. Xiaopeng's attitude was very good. It was just a mouthful, and at that time, it didn't matter whether he had a baby or not. You shameless person, you are the only one who dares to make such a request to the master. Xiaoyu really obeyed him and dared to say anything. Nor feel ashamed. What's the point? This is to give him a new disciple. He is very happy. Their master may seem old, but his temperament is very young. He loves to tease the elders in the sect every day. Had it not been for his identity, the people in the sect would have rebelled long ago. Humph, you're too lazy, just eat quickly, I'll wash the dishes later. They have been cultivating for so many years, but they have always maintained a modern life. Eating and sleeping are all done without missing a beat. That night, the two of them were filled with warmth and spring breeze. The next day, while Xiaopeng was still sleeping, Xiaoyu got up and went out. Today's assessment is at the gate of the mountain. It's not far away, she just needs to keep an eye on him. It would be nice if there is a good young man who can give his master a grandson. Early in the morning, Xiaoyu appeared in front of the mountain gate. The disciples in the sect saw her coming and immediately saluted and said, "See Master Uncle, Master Ancestor." The leader who recruited the new disciples bowed and walked over. "Master, why are you here today?" There are many outer disciples who can recognize her. It's no wonder that she likes to go out on weekdays. Well, I'm bored today. Come and take a look. It happens that Master Mu is not free, so I'll keep an eye on it for him. Generally, the disciples are responsible for recruiting new disciples, but those who have a better relationship with her like to ask her for help no matter what. She is also willing to help them with small things, just for fun. Master's nephew Mu is a woman. She is the child of Master Danfan's only disciple. Master Danfan is the same generation as his master. So Mu Qingqing became her nephew. She was not used to calling someone older than her nephew at first, but she got used to it after a while. Now the two of them always meet to go shopping together. It can also be regarded as a rare friend and confidant. After a few words with the supervisor outside, the newbie assessment began. Xiaoyu sat firmly on the high platform and watched the disciples below giving assessments to the new disciples. The first few levels were very boring. Recognize medicines, identify medicines, memorize prescriptions, etc. Only those who are testing third-grade alchemists interest her. When she was bored, she would take out a book and read it. Nearly 100 disciples were taking assessments below, but no one made too much noise. The book can be read with ease. The sun is getting higher and higher, and the remaining disciples are also popular. Xiaoyu put away the book in her hand and looked seriously at the new disciples practicing alchemy below. With a flying body, he came to the platform below. Master. Well, are there any good seeds? Xiaoyu Huan looked around and asked the outer door steward. The person in charge of the outer sect shook his head. There are no good seedlings today, they are all below the third grade. The Dan sect originally recruited new disciples once a month. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 566. Chapter 566, Peng and the Moon. After so many years, even if there are good seedlings, they have all entered the Dan sect. Among these juniors now, I can really find one who is as stunning as the master when he entered the door. Are they all below the third grade? Xiaoyu frowned. There is not one above the third grade. Is the quality so poor now? Xiaoyu didn't dare to think. Then wouldn't all the disciples accepted by the Dan sect be crooked melons and cracked jujubes? There is a boy who is quite good, but it seems that he didn't lay a good foundation when he was a child. The person in charge saw that the master was not happy, and immediately told his findings. It's easy to point out. Xiaoyu looked along his hand. There is indeed a young man, but he looks to be about 10 years old. His cultivation level is pretty good. He is at the peak of nascent soul and will break through the out-of-body stage as long as he gets a chance. However, I don't know when this opportunity will come. Looking at him handling the medicinal materials somewhat unskilledly, Xiaoyu frowned. It seemed that the child had been exposed to the medicinal materials for a short time. But he is actually practicing second-grade elixirs now, which shows that he has good talent. Slowly, Xiaoyu relaxed her brows. That's right, where is that kid from? Disciples who enter the sect will check their identities. It is a good idea to ask the outside stewards, because this matter is under their control. The steward half-bent. He is a child from a town affiliated with our sect, but his status is a bit pitiful. Seeing that the master was interested in the child, the steward immediately felt pity. It was not easy for the child either. After his parents had an accident, he was kicked out by his uncle. You know, those uncles used to be supported by his parents. But this kid is also promising. I don't know where I got the opportunity and got into the path of elixir. The Lin family started out by practicing martial arts, and everyone in the family relied on practicing to gain a foothold in the Dan sect. It can also be regarded as a large family in the city affiliated to Danzong. It is also because of this that the steward will have mercy on him. Because he was pretty much the same back then, and now that he is the head of the Danzong's outer sect, the so-called family members are also fawning over him. Hence, he cannot see those who have been abandoned by their families. Because he will think of himself. After listening to the steward's words, Xiaoyu nodded. You're a promising person. I'm afraid the Lin family will regret it in the future. She has seen this kind of thing many times over the years. There is no need to say that she has too much pity, but looking at a child of such a size, she feels a little pity in her heart. I'll go over and take a look. After saying that, Xiaoyu came to Lin Ziyi quietly. Looking at him frowning from time to time, and the medicinal materials in his hands always changing, Mei Shui felt that he deserved the opportunity to get the pill recipe. Otherwise he wouldn't be so unskilled. Even if she saw it, Xiaoyu didn't say anything, but this guy is really capable, and he actually did something small under the eyes of the outer door manager. Ah! That's right, Lin Ziyi was practicing the elixir that can break through the nascent soul, Tianqian Dan. The function of Tianqian Dan is to remove all the dirt in the body. Compared with marrow cleansing pill, Tianqian Dan is in the sky just like its name. After she and Xiao Cheng came to this world, they spent 4 or 5 years getting familiar with all the classics of the alchemy sect, and their knowledge of the alchemy sect was not comparable to that of ordinary people. They have 2 of the most comprehensive elixir recipes in their hands, one from their mother-in-law and one from Xiaojin. They don't know Xiaojin's identity, but judging from the things he gave him, it's definitely not ordinary. Because of these elixirs and pharmacology, they have reached their current position step by step. If not, I'm afraid. Looking at the little guy's trembling hands, Xiaoyu was afraid that he would add the wrong amount. But this kid does have talent. After standing for a long time, Xiaoyu left his platform. Arriving at the high platform, the steward immediately smiled and said, "How is master?" "Yes, he is a talented person, but it's a pity that his time in practicing medicine is too short." She really likes this little guy. Lin Ziyi didn't know that he was being remembered. He was now bent on using the medicinal materials of the alchemy sect to refine the elixirs he needed, so that his breakthrough would be guaranteed. Ever since he was kicked out of the house, he had to rely on himself for everything. If it weren't for this, he wouldn't have gotten this opportunity. Fortunately, God was kind and he survived. From now on, he will definitely stand tall and walk far, making those dogs regret looking down on others. He is still a child after all. Even if he endures so much, all he wants is to be slapped in the face. Parents died because they went out to look for opportunities. It was not someone in the family who did anything. There was no talk of revenge or anything like that. However, he refused to accept being driven out like this. That home is the hard work of the parents. It doesn't matter whether you take it back or not, but you must not let others look at your property. The movements of his hands are getting faster and faster. He has already memorized the recipe for Tianqian Dan. If he had not had the money to buy these main medicines, he would have known how to start refining them. After all, he is still useless. Seeing that it was getting later and later, Lin Zedon's furnace began to churn. Many people's elixirs have been refined, but only a few are still there. These people are the candidates favored by the steward and Xiaoyu, and they may enter the inner door. You should know that there is a gap between the outer door and the inner door. It is extremely difficult to cross. Xiaopeng saw that it was getting late but Xiaoyu had not returned yet, so he immediately looked for her. Xiaopeng's face darkened when he saw her looking at the child below with a serious look on her face. "Do you look good?" Everyone can hear the sourness in the words, "Do you look better than me?" When the steward saw the visitor, he immediately saluted. After Xiaopeng waved to him, the steward left with great insight. Hearing a familiar voice, Xiaoyu looked back. "Here you are, look at that kid. Does he look like when we were practicing medicine?" It was the same way when they first started practicing medicine. "Be careful with everything." Xiaopeng looked along her hand and saw that the children did look alike. However, when he saw Lin Ziyi, Xiaopeng was not happy. "He is not as good looking as me, and he is so fascinated. Even if he is a child, he feels uncomfortable that her eyes are on others." This is also the reason why he took her away from home as soon as the child was born. After so many years, he missed his son, but he did not regret what he did. When he was a child, he remembered that if he could, his father would have thrown away the 3 brothers. "What are you talking nonsense about?" Xiaoyu rolled her eyes at him angrily. After the words fell behind, Xiaopeng held her hand and said, "Remember, you can only look at me in this life, and you can only live in my heart. Love me, pamper me, and never leave me for the rest of your life. Well, this man is irresistible when he gets horny. Shut up, don't even look at where this place is, and don't even look at the venue. Xiao Yu was really convinced by this person. After so many years, she has become accustomed to his arrogance, but her face still turns red when she hears his words. Seeing her appearance like this, Xiaopeng wanted to take her back directly. Now he finally understands what his father was thinking back then. Don't make trouble, the assessment will be over soon. I think that kid is good, why don't we take him as his apprentice? Xiaoyu really likes that kid. I can't see my son now, so if I can keep a child by my side, it would be a kind of sustenance. Besides, the apprentice is his son, and he is afraid that he will not be able to support him in his old age. Xiaopeng was unhappy. Can I say no? He really didn't want to have one more person in the family. When you accept a disciple, you have to shoulder the responsibility of a master. He has not even taken up the responsibility of a father. If his mother knew about it, I'm afraid it wouldn't be possible to get rid of it. I don't care, I just like him. If you don't accept me as your apprentice, I will accept him myself. You asked me to take care of my son when he was born, and then he came here. After all these years, I miss him. As he spoke, Xiaoyu's eyes became red. The time in the modern world is different from here. It has been almost 100 years, and that is the meat that fell from her belly. Seeing this, Xiaopeng immediately panicked. Don't cry, I promise you, I will accept this apprentice. What he was most afraid of was her crying. After so many years, he knew that he was sorry for her and gave his son to his mother early, but he forgot that she was also a mother. If it weren't for herself, how could she bear to bring her newborn son, who was not even 1 month old, to her mother-in-law? When I was a child, my mother always took the 3 brothers with her no matter what. Thinking of this, Xiaopeng felt extremely depressed. Xiaoyu, I'm sorry, I have wronged you all these years. When the teleportation array is opened, I will take you to find Zhishan. They still have a long life to live, but he doesn't want her to live with regrets. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. Xiaoyu kept her emotions in check. She felt pain, and so did he. I know, don't cry, don't cry. After the couple dawdled for a while, the people practicing alchemy below also finished. The manager couldn't hide the smile on his face when he saw that 5 people had mastered 3rd-grade elixirs and 3 had mastered 4th-grade elixirs. These people are all geniuses if you put them outside. But in their dance sect, it's just boring. I declare that today's assessment is over. As soon as the steward finished speaking, everyone came down from the alchemy stage. Go to the steward and stand in neat rows. The oldest here is only 15 years old, and the youngest is only 9 years old. Looking at these people, the manager was also thinking about where they were going. However, it's not his turn to share yet. Xiaoyu and Xiaopeng walked down from the high platform. Steward, are all the children for the assessment here? They came from the bottom and can understand the nervousness of these children. Seeing them all holding hands nervously, Xiaoyu smiled at them. Don't be nervous, today's assessment is over and your places have been arranged. After saying that, Xiaoyu ordered the 2 children to come out with her hands. That's right, she chose 2, 1 male and 1 female. That girl seems to be dressed quite richly, but she has a good face. A little chubby, but cute and tight. Their family didn't know what was going on, but they loved each of their daughters very much. Now that she saw this child, Xiaoyu fell in love with her at first glance. I like it even more than Lindsay. You two, come out. The 2 people who were called were a little confused. Especially Lindsay, his mind is now all on the elixir he just made. Where is the mind to pay attention to these things? The fat girl was a little excited. She pulled Lindsay, who was not far away, and said, "Brother, let's go out quickly." At this moment, Lindsay reacted. Yes, it's you and me. The two of them walked up to Xiaoyu and said, I've met senior. The etiquette has not been lost due to young age. Get up, are you willing to worship us as your teachers? Xiaoyu's words were very direct. As soon as her words came out, many people at the scene were envious. He admires even the manager. If only he were younger, he might be favored by his master. Lin Ziyi and the fat girl were stunned. The steward immediately pushed the two of them forward. Why don't you kneel down and see the master? He was really anxious to death. Such a good opportunity could not be missed. Oh oh oh. The two of them were pushed and fell to their knees. The fat girl's mouth was sweeter, and there was a naive smile on her face even though she was nervous. See you, master. Xiaopeng helped the two of them up. He didn't want his wife to touch other men. Don't be in a hurry, we will hold the apprenticeship ceremony in a few days. Their status is here, and accepting disciples is also a major event in the sect. However, the teacher you are studying is not me, but her. You, come with me. Xiaopeng was still a little unhappy, but this child is indeed good. Xiaoyu couldn't tell what he was thinking. Okay, let's go back to whatever matters. After saying that, she pulled the fat girl to her side. Steward, let's divide them by grade. The children this time are all good, so don't miss them. The outer sect has the same rules as the outer sect, and she is afraid that these ordinary people will be bullied. Yes, everything will be done according to Master's instructions. He didn't dare to think too much. Master and the others rarely assess the members once. If they are asked about it later, he will not be able to deal with it. That's it, then we'll take them away first. Bear off to the master. Xiaoyu and Xiaopeng each brought an apprentice back to their mountain peaks. You will live here from now on. As soon as they entered the courtyard, Xiaoyu said to them enthusiastically. The house has not been so lively for a long time. Master, where do I live? Can I use all my own things? The little girl looked like she had been raised by her family. Lin Ziyi was much more casual, with a sullen face, doing whatever others said and holding a jade bottle tightly in his hand. The elixirs that students have practiced can be taken away by themselves. Of course, you also need to be able to enter the inner door. If you can't, hey, everything is in vain. Of course, Lin Ziyi didn't understand these rules very clearly, so he kept the medicine himself as soon as he practiced it. What's your name? Xiaopeng also has a little more patience with girls. My name is Yerugjuan, and everyone in my family calls me Xian, the silly girl said with a silly smile. Yes, the name is very nice. I will call you Xian from now on. This is your brother Lin Ziyi. From now on, you will be brothers and sisters. Zayas, you have to take good care of your sister. Xiaoyu spoke to them softly. Master, why am I a junior sister? Can't I be a senior sister? She is the youngest at home, so why is she still the youngest here? She doesn't want to be a junior sister, she wants to be a senior sister. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 567. Chapter 567, Return. Lin Ziyi glanced at her when he heard this and smiled disdainfully when he saw that he only came to her creaking place. It's just you, whether it's cultivation or elixir training, she can't compare with her. She still wants to be a senior sister and dream. It's just me, what's wrong? The little girl is not afraid of strangers. Even if Lin Ziyi behaves like a stranger, she will not dare to say anything. Master, I want to be a senior sister. The little girl skillfully asked her master to be her supporter. Lin Ziyi also became a little nervous when he saw this. He was afraid that his master would be persuaded. Although I don't know who these two people are, It seems that their status is not low if they can enjoy a mountain peak to themselves. He just wants to practice well now and learn alchemy skills well. When he succeeds in learning, he will definitely make those people regret it. Seeing Lin Ziyi's nervousness, Xiaopeng said with a rare good look, "Don't worry, she will only be a junior sister. The little girl is for pain, the brat is for slapping, the sister is just like the cute little brother." Xiaopeng himself has a younger brother. He is very envious of other people having little sisters. It is a pity that their parents will not give him a little sister. After hearing what the master said, Lin Ziyi finally felt relieved. He doesn't want to call a little kid his senior sister. "Okay, don't stand and talk. Come over and tell us your identities." Xiaoyu took some food from the house and walked out. "Put the things on the stone table and take 2 snacks for the 2 of them. These things are all made by her own hands. Although they are not as delicious as those made by her mother-in-law, her skills are not bad either." Yerugjuan fell in love with the taste after the first bite. "Master, it's delicious." She was chewing something in her mouth, her words were a bit slurred. "Eat more if it tastes good." Looking at the little girl, Xiaoyu's face was full of kindness. Lin Ziyi's eyes lit up as he ate. It was indeed delicious and full of energy. It was no worse than those of the spirit-gathering pills. "Thank you, master." "You're welcome, eat quickly, don't talk, be careful of choking." Xiaoyu was still very patient with the 2 of them. Of course, Xiaopeng will not miss the opportunity to taste delicious food. They both like to eat, so they make their own meals on weekdays. After eating the snacks, Yerugjuan began to talk about her identity. After hearing this, Xiaoyu became happy. "I didn't expect that I actually took in the little princess of the Ye family. Xian, you have to practice well in the future and don't embarrass me, the master." The Ye family is the second largest family in the area, affiliated with the Lianqi section. Those who can rank high can even be in the top 3. You can imagine how big the Ye family is. But she didn't expect that someone in the Ye family could practice alchemy and even entered the alchemy sect. "Master, I can't guarantee whether it will be a shame or not, but I can give you many spiritual weapons. My father is very good at practicing weapons," Xian said with a proud look on her face. Hearing her words, Xiaoyu's heart melted. "Okay, from now on the master's spiritual weapons will depend on you." These words are just to coax the little girl. What does the Dan sect want? You must know that elixirs are half the life of a cultivator. Even the master of the Qi sect will give 3 points to the master of the alchemy sect. Alchemy is the most important training resource for cultivators. Everyone wants to be friends with the alchemy section. Unfortunately, there are very few alchemists who can make friends with the true 7th grade or above. The distinction between the inner and outer sects of the alchemy sect is also based on levels. The outer sect's alchemy masters are all below the 5th grade. After reaching the 6th level, you can enter the inner door. So, the entire Dan sect's inner disciples are only 1/3 of the outer sect's disciples. Let alone those 9th grade alchemists. Elixirs are divided into levels, from level 1 to level 9. Above level 9 there are divine elixirs, and finally golden elixirs. Like the elders of Danzong, most of them are between the 9th level and the level. Even the sect leader has only just entered the level. Of course, their current level of alchemy training is not bad, only level 9. Like their master, he is also one of the only 3 high-level alchemists in the alchemy sect. Like elixirs and golden elixirs, these are legendary levels, at least none of them have reached it yet. Whether it is weapon training or formation magic, they are all at the same level. There are not yet those who have become immortals, but there are quite a few deities. The little girl's father is the head of the Ye family. It's unknown how old he is, but to be the head of the family, he must be top-notch in terms of cultivation and weapon training. "No problem, master, what kind of spiritual weapon do you want? I will tell Dad now." The little girl took out a jade plaque and asked with a matter-of-fact expression. Xiaoyu did not expect that her apprentice was still impatient. No need now, I'll ask you for it later when the master needs it. After saying this, Xiaoyu laughed. The small courtyard was full of laughter and laughter. Xiaoyu knew a little about Lin Ziyi's life experience, and now that she heard what he said, she felt very sorry for him. Don't worry, no one will dare to bully you again. If someone bullies you, I will kill him with a spiritual weapon. After hearing about her senior brother's life experience, the little girl was furious. Xiao Peng looked on, his eyes shining. Yes, I got the true biography of Grandma He again. Okay, if someone bullies your senior brother in the future, remember to hit him hard. Xiao Peng also likes this little girl. After understanding clearly, Xiaoyu and Xiao Peng took them to walk around the sect. Let them first understand the distribution of the Dan sect, then go to the medicine hall, and then to the Yan realm. That is the place where the fire of the alchemy sect is located. Everyone likes to come here to practice alchemy on weekdays. Because not everyone has strange fire, most of them rely on the real fire in their own body. But the true fire in the body is linked to the cultivation level. Some people have outstanding alchemy skills, but their cultivation level cannot keep up, so this is the best choice. Lin Ziyi has this situation. His alchemy skills are quite good, but the real fire in his body cannot keep up. Xiao Peng himself has no strange fire, so he can't help his apprentice even if he wants to. So we can only bring him here. It took a few days to finally understand the Dan sect, and the two of them started practicing in the small courtyard. Because they were still young, Xiaoyu and Xiao Peng did not put too much pressure on them and let them learn from scratch first. Also keep up with your cultivation, otherwise you will always suffer in the future. The two of them were obedient when they arrived. At 3 o'clock and one line every day. Go to the pharmacy to learn knowledge, go to Dian to practice elixirs, go back to the small courtyard to consolidate what they have learned in a day, and listen to the lectures of the masters. The progress of the two of them is very obvious. The apprenticeship ceremony also passed like this day after day. Wanling Dan Shen was very happy when he learned that he had two disciples. When he saw the two of them, he immediately gave them a meeting gift. Can make those inner and outer disciples envious. However, the two of them were not arrogant. They respectfully received the greeting gift from their master and gave a big salute. The days passed like this day by day. Xiao Peng and the others lived a leisurely life in Danzong, but He-Ans and others were not so leisurely. Tell me, does the teleportation array in the upper world still exist? 5 years have passed, but they still haven't been able to find the teleportation array in the upper world. Mei Shui was very anxious. He-Ans felt very uncomfortable looking at Xiaoxiu, who was becoming more and more impatient. Don't worry, we will find it. Standing on the top of the mountain, looking at the sunset sky in the evening, He-Ans softly comforted the person in his arms. Ans, let's stop looking for it. Mei Shui took a deep breath and exhaled softly. Why? He didn't understand, why didn't he look for it again? After persisting for so many years, are they really going to give up? Mei Shui withdrew from He-Ans's arms. Ans, let's go back to modern times. I miss Xiao. Mei Shui's mind was racing. He-Ans was stunned for a moment. Why? He didn't understand what she was thinking at this time. I don't know, anyway, I just wanted to take a look at Xiao. Mei Shui shook her head. She didn't know what was going on, but she just wanted to take a look at Xiao. At their level of cultivation and with such a warning, they should follow their intuition. Good. He-Ans understood what she meant. After discussing, they came to a mountain range in Kinlan. In the past few years, they had no fixed place and had been walking in the deep mountains. It was only during this year that they settled here. Seeing his parents return, Xiao Cheng came over with Fen Yanran. Mom and Dad, where have you been? Your mother and I are going out for a walk, Xiao Cheng. Go and ask Zhishan and Zhihan to come over. We have something to tell you. Since we are going to modern times, we should also ask them. Xiao Cheng saw his father's serious face and went directly to call Zhishan's Haihan and the others without saying anything. Xiaobai and the others are much more comfortable in the mountains than they are, and they are basically not at home during the day. Soon, the small room was filled with people. "We want to see Xiao, are you going with us or waiting here?" Hian said directly when everyone was gathered. When he heard that he was going to see his uncle, Zhishan was the first to agree. "Grandpa, I want to go." Zhishan raised his hand. Zhihan was a little confused, but he looked at his parents. Xiao Cheng has not been back for many years. He wants to go back to see his elder brother, and even more wants to offer incense to his wife. "Dad, I'll take Yan Ran back with me. My wife hasn't seen Yan Ran yet." Xiao Cheng's words made everyone feel empty. "Yes, it has been many years since the old lady passed away." Meixiu said with a smile on her face when she talked about her grandma. "Okay, Zhihan can come with us. Your wife hasn't seen him yet. If she knows, she will definitely be very happy." After making the decision, Mei Shui told Xiaobai and others about going to modern times when they came back at night. Xiaobai was very happy when he heard it. "Go, master, I haven't been there for many years." He really wanted to go there again. They all came from modern times and have their own emotions about it. Whether it's Xiaobai, Dabai, or Jiaolong, they all want to visit their old places again. "Xiaobai, do you know how to get to the modern world? It's easy to get in but hard to get out." Mei Shui doesn't know how to get out, and they can't do it now if they tear apart the space. If you want to tear apart space, you must at least have the cultivation level of an immortal. "I know, we happen to be in Qin State. Let's go back to the Forest of Divine Beasts. There are more critical points for formations there. Just break through." "Of course, we don't know where we will be after we go out." "Okay, let's go to the Forest of Divine Beasts tomorrow. Since we have made a plan, it's better to act than to think." The next day arrived in a blink of an eye. After packing up, the group flew towards the Forest of Divine Beasts. 3 days had passed when we arrived at the Forest of Divine Beasts. This time, they did not encounter the soul-devouring land. Soon passed the Kinlan Mountains and came to the Forest of Divine Beasts. As soon as they returned, they immediately transformed into their own bodies and started dancing wildly in the space. After arriving under the Wuodao tea tree, everyone began to rest. When the body returns to its most perfect state, they begin to attack the critical point. Without much effort, the formation was broken, but the hole healed quickly. "Let's go." Hians gave the order, and everyone rushed towards the entrance of the cave. Unfortunately, it was dark outside when they came out and they didn't know where they were. But it looks like they are somewhere deep in the mountains. "Are you all here?" After coming out, the spiritual energy dropped sharply, which made everyone feel uncomfortable for a while. "It's all ready." Xiao Cheng looked around and replied. "That's it, let's rest where we are for the night," Hian said. "This place is no different than the world of cultivation. The danger here is much less. Everyone has not practiced and just slept naturally." At dawn the next day, everyone woke up. Like them now, it's okay not to eat, but they can't change their habits. Mei Shui took out food from the space, and Hians took out a table naturally. A few people gathered around the table to have breakfast. After the meal, no matter how much discomfort I felt, I got used to it. "Mom and Dad, how should we go now?" Xiao Cheng asked after eating and drinking. "Let's get out of the woods first. Flying is impossible. Science is very advanced now. Be careful of getting caught." When Hians and the others left, satellite network had become a necessity in everyone's life. So they don't dare to fly against the sky. "That's it, let's go." Mei Shui shook her head. "No, we can't go out like this. Yan Ran, come with me and let's go change clothes. This is not the ancient times, and their clothes can be seen by outsiders. It's okay for the moment, but you'll have to change it later." so it's better not to attract other people's attention in the first place to save trouble. Yan Ran didn't know, but she followed her mother-in-law obediently. Hians also took out a few sets of clothes and threw them to Xiao Cheng and the others. Xiaobai and the others didn't need to change clothes, they could just change their makeup themselves. After a while, everyone was ready. Set off. Because they didn't know where this place was, they could only walk outside the mountain. Fortunately, they had good cultivation, and it didn't take long for them to get out of the mountain if they walked faster. Seeing the smoke outside, everyone felt very friendly. Especially Xiao Cheng. Having not been home for many years, he misses this era more than anyone else. Let's go ask and see where this place is. Seeing the familiar scenery, Mei Shui felt a little better. Entering the village, the people in the village were finishing breakfast and going out to work. Looking at the field ridges in the village, there were people everywhere. Xiao Cheng and Xiao Bai hurriedly walked forward to ask people. After finding out the place and time, the two ran back. Mom and Dad, it's 2012 now, and our time is passing so slowly. Xiao Cheng was a little excited. This is Zishan. It's not far from Beijing. If you make a car, you'll be there in a few hours. Xiao Bai quickly said that he knew it, as if he was afraid that Xiao Cheng would steal his limelight. It seems that time and space are different, and the speed of time is also different. Come on, let's go home. I don't know if everyone at home is okay. Mei Shui suddenly thought of home. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 568. Chapter 568, Reunion. But Yan Ran and Zhaihan don't have ID cards, how can they go back? Xiao Cheng thought of the times when he went out before and said immediately. Same, now, you can't go anywhere without an ID card, let alone drive a car. Hians and Mei Shui frowned. They were originally eager to return home but were awakened by Xiao Cheng's words. Well, now that we know where this place is, we can go on the road at night, or we can walk back. Anyway, Zishan is not far from Kyoto. Mei Shui thought for a while and expressed her opinion. I think it's okay, it's not far anyway. He always listened to his wife's orders. That's all. But after arriving in Kyoto, I'm going to register Zhaihan and Yan Ran's household registration, Xiao Cheng said. What else? Don't you want to recognize them? You kid, you're Izichi, right? Mei Shui was not so angry and gave her silly son a roll of the eyes. Mom, is there anyone like you? Did I mean that? Is this my real mother? Humph, come on Les. Perhaps she has returned to a familiar environment, and Mei Shui's mood has improved a lot. Okay, stop arguing, let's go to the city now and have something to eat first. Xiao Bai had a thought in his mind after not eating outside for a long time. Not only him, Jiaolong is also thinking about it. When it comes to eating, foodies all have a common topic, and they all start chatting while walking. The world of foodies is not something that ordinary people can understand, such as Fen Yan Ran now. Is this food so delicious? After listening to what they said, Fen Yan Ran also wanted to try it. Xiao Cheng looked at her and smiled, you can try it. Although it's not as good as what mom makes, it has a different flavor. Okay, let's get another person to join us. Because they traveled all the way, 3 days had passed by the time they arrived in Kyoto. In these 3 days, the group had a lot of fun. Grandma, let's go out and play next time. Zhaihan, who had no idea what to do, walked up to his grandma and said with a flattering look on his face. Looking at Zhaihan's changes, Mei Shui said with a loving expression, okay, when I have time, Grandma will take you to visit the great rivers and mountains of our dragon kingdom. It's true, Grandma's Zhaihan looked surprised. Of course, I will also find a wife for you when the time comes. Having a lot of fun, we arrived at the He family mansion in Kyoto. Since becoming rich, He Ans and Mei Shui have expanded the yard on Hao'erhe side a lot. In the past, half of the backyard was empty, but now, it has been basically repaired. It can be accommodated no matter how many people come to the house. After Xiao took over, he directly divided the backyard into 3 parts. The main courtyard has been left to his parents, while he and Hua live in the east courtyard. There are 2 small courtyards in the west courtyard, which are reserved for Xiaopeng and the 2 of them. The north courtyard is usually used to receive guests. There is no other way to hire a servant at home. The house is too big for one person to take care of. Pushing open the door of his house, he saw the spring in the courtyard. "Grandma, is this our home?" Looking at these simple buildings, Zhaihan felt very cordial. "Yes, this is our home." Looking at the yard that had not changed much, Mei Shui relaxed. Soon someone saw someone coming in and immediately came forward to greet him. "Who are you looking for?" The housekeeper was a new person hired by Xiao later. They didn't know Mei Shui and others. Hians was walking at the front. When he saw the person coming, he immediately asked, "Is Xiao here?" While talking, he walked inside. The steward was confused, but seeing how casual he looked, he didn't dare to offend anyone too much. However, as a steward, he also had his responsibilities. "Sir, who are you?" "My husband is not at home now." The master of the house was not here, and he did not dare to let people in. As soon as he heard that no one was at home, Xiao Cheng shouted, "Dad, eldest brother is not at home. Why don't you call eldest brother? Otherwise we won't be able to get home." When Xiao Cheng left, the family was not so prosperous. Now we all have servants. What a big change. Hian's mobile phone has been kept in his storage bag. It has been so long and he doesn't know if it can be used. He took a look in his pocket and saw that there was still a signal. So he stopped and dialed Xiao's number on his mobile phone. Fortunately, Xiao has always missed his parents, and their parents' phone calls have never stopped for them. The phone was connected quickly. "Dad, is this you, Dad?" Hearing Xiao's choked voice, Hians felt a little blocked. "It's me, I'm at home." After saying that, he gave the phone to the housekeeper. The housekeeper was a little confused, but he still answered the phone. "Hello, are you sir?" I don't know what was said on the other end of the phone. The butler immediately changed his face and became respectful. "Master, please come in quickly." He respectfully returned the phone to the master, then bent down and stretched out his hand to invite him in. Hians wouldn't care about this with the housekeeper. Seeing that the phone hadn't been hung up yet, he put it to his ear. "Are you busy? If not, come back. Your mother and I are both back." The He family is not the He family before. It is no exaggeration to say that the He family now is the largest family in Kyoto. Of course, it's about money. As for Quan, it's still a bit behind, but with the Dragon team, the He family can rank among the top 3 in Kyoto. Back soon. Xiao's brows were twitching all day long. He always felt that something had happened, but he didn't expect that it would be his parents coming back. After he hung up the phone excitedly, he immediately called his wife. She has not only spent these years raising children, she also has her own career. She and Lixia grew the clothing business together. If the children hadn't been young, she would have traveled all over the world. Hua was busy shipping goods. When she received a call from her husband, she was even more excited than Shiu. "Mom is back. You didn't lie to me." Her parents had been away for 5 or 6 years, and she thought she would never see her mother-in-law again. "I'm not lying to you. Hurry up, hurry home now, I'll go back from the company too." The excitement of the couple is something that others cannot understand. "Okay, I'll go back right away." Work, business, money. They are not as important as parents-in-law. Fortunately, they don't have any weak soldiers, so it will be smooth sailing without them. About an hour or so, the couple returned home. Dad, Mom, as soon as I entered the door, I saw my parents sitting on the sofa. My parents were still so young, not much different from before. Xiu excitedly walked into the hall holding Hua. When they came to their parents, they both knelt down. Mom and Dad. After the two of them finished shouting, they burst into tears. Good boy, get up quickly, get up quickly. Seeing the two of them, Mei Shui also choked up. He and Hans each helped the other and helped them up. Good boy, don't cry, we are back. When we left, we didn't dare to let them know because we were afraid they would cry. Now that we are back, they are still crying. My own child feels pain on his own. She felt distressed. Mom, where have you been? It's been 6 years, and you haven't come back for 5 whole years. The world is different, and the flow of time is also different. I just didn't expect that they had been in the world of cultivation for so long. In reality, it had only been 5 years. It's only been 6 years. There's nothing to cry about. You kid only has shallow tears. Mei Shui helped Hua wipe her tears and joked with a smile. Xiao Cheng and Fen Yanran were sitting nearby. Seeing this scene, they felt bad. Xiao Cheng hasn't seen his eldest brother for decades. Brother Xiao Cheng couldn't hold himself any longer, stood up from the sofa and called to Xiao Yu. Even after not seeing each other for many years, Xiao couldn't forget his brother's voice. Turning his head, Xiao said, Xiao Cheng, you are Xiao Cheng. Looking at his mature little brother, Xiao looked surprised. Well, I'm back. The two brothers came together. After relieving the pain of lovesickness, Mei Shui introduced them to the new members of the family. This is your little sister-in-law. Her name is Fen Yanran. You can just call her Yanran. Mei Shui took her hand and introduced Yanran to her. Yanran immediately stood up, gave a gift to the flowers, and called out, sister-in-law. Hua was so happy after looking at such exquisite siblings. She knows Xiao Yu, but they rarely play together. Even after she came in, they rarely went shopping together. Because she is busy. It's okay now, the third sister and brother have come in, and then she will have company from now on. Hey, hello, third brother and sister. Hua likes the person in front of her very much because he is good looking. Well, she is Yango. Because she didn't know that she would meet her third younger brother and sister, Hua didn't prepare any meeting gifts. And she didn't like to carry anything with her, so she was embarrassed. Don't be offended, third brother and sister. I'm in such a hurry that I haven't prepared a gift for you. Let's do this. Tomorrow I will take you shopping, and my sister-in-law will make up for you. No way, she could only do this. It's okay, sister-in-law, but she still took out the things she prepared. This is for sister-in-law, please don't dislike it. The ancients had many rituals. Fen Yanran had already prepared greeting gifts for her relatives when she learned that she was coming back. So she directly took out the things she prepared for her sister-in-law. Here are the beauty pills, 1 pill a year. There are 100 pills in the bottle. These are all the pills she asks Haihan to practice. The beauty pill is only a second-grade elixir. She originally wanted to get the beauty pill, but her mother-in-law said it couldn't be used in modern times. When Hua saw the jade vase, she knew it was a good thing and immediately took it. Thank you, sister-in-law. This thing is priceless. It seems I will have a heavy bleeding tomorrow, she joked with a happy face. Come on, you are all from your own family and don't care about these things. Mei Shui patted Hanadao angrily. Then I'll take advantage. The three women chatted and laughed and became familiar with each other. Xiao, this is your nephew, Zhaihan, the son of Xiao Cheng and Yanran. Hians waved to Zhaihan and asked him to come forward. As soon as Zhaihan arrived, Hians introduced Zhaihan to Xiao. But when the two of them saw Zhaihan, they were surprised. I have to be surprised, they were the first to get married, but now the child is only 7 years old, but Xiao Cheng's son is taller than him. How not to surprise him? Seeing his stupid look, He slapped him twice angrily. The time is different. I'll talk to you later. Oh, 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 Xiao finally came back to his senses. Hello, uncles. Han bowed and called politely. Xiao and Hua were confused all of a sudden. Hey, 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 even if I didn't prepare a gift, I didn't even get a red envelope, really. The two of them hurriedly responded, good boy, how old are you this year? Xiao asked unwillingly. Han replied honestly, 15. He, 10 years later, Xiao feels like he gave birth to a child too late. My own house is almost the same size as his. Xiao's two children are now 15. They are in junior high school. They are not out of school yet and have not come back yet. Looking at Xiao's surprised look, Mei Shui laughed unkindly, don't worry, he and Zhishan are both younger than Zhiwa and the others. Mei Shui can tell what his son wants at a glance. If they hadn't come out in time, in a few days, the Zhiwa brother and sister might have to call them brothers. After hearing what her mother said, Xiao let out a thick breath. This action made everyone laugh. Xiao, you are still so funny, you really haven't changed at all. Xiaobai walked up to Xiao, patted him heavily on the shoulder and said with a smile. Xiao has never seen Xiaobai's appearance after his transformation. He asked with a confused look on his face, who are you? He is so young, he can't be his nephew, right? But he calls himself Xiao, so that's not the case. After Xiaobai was asked who he was, everyone was happy again. Xiao, can you guess who he is? Mei Shui asked. While everyone was talking, Hua left the living room, came to her room, and immediately prepared a greeting gift for Zhihan. No good thing at home can compare with what they have, but she has to prepare 2 red envelopes. When the old lady was here, she always liked to put some red envelopes in the cabinet in the living room, but the old lady has been away for so long, this habit has long since disappeared. Hua moved very quickly and came back after a while. Zhihan, my aunt was in a hurry and didn't prepare a meeting gift for you, but I still have the red envelope. I'll buy it for you tomorrow. There was a card in Zhihan's red envelope. The money in this card is not much, only about 1 million, which is a little less for my nephew, but there is nothing I can do, I didn't prepare so much at the moment. Here, take it. He handed the red envelope to Zhihan's hand and said with a smile. After Zhihan saw his parents nodding, he took it with a smile, thank you, auntie. Hua took out another red envelope and handed it to Fen Yanran, brother and sister, you take it too. Of course, Fen Yanran would not refuse. Her sister-in-law gave it to her and she continued, thank you, sister-in-law. As a family, no need to say thank you. Xiao looked confused, have you prepared anything for me? I didn't give you a greeting gift. Why do you want me to prepare yours? You don't know how to prepare it yourself. Hua teased her man. What's yours and mine? You can't just care about yourself and embarrass me. This is our nephew. You must not save some face for me. Xiao felt aggrieved. Okay, I'll give you face. Hua smiled and took out a few red envelopes from behind. Here, I'll give you face, take it. The family laughed together. The atmosphere in the He family is so good, everyone loves each other. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 569. Chapter 569, Adaptation. The housekeeper and his servants were all standing guard outside. Hearing the laughter inside the master's house, they unconsciously raised the corners of their mouths. After they got to know each other, Xiao was also shocked by what happened to Xiaobai. But after the shock, he accepted it. Xiaobai grew up with the 3 brothers, and their feelings cannot be explained in just a few words. With the addition of Xiaobai and Jiaolong, the main courtyard of the He family became lively. Kyoto has changed a lot, and Xiao also told them some things about Kyoto. The old men are all old, and there are only 2 left alive now. The next day, he Ans and Mei Shui personally visited several old men who were still alive. The others followed Hua and Xiao into 2 groups and took action separately. Although the aura here is not as good as that in the world of cultivation, modern times also have modern beauty. For example, eating, drinking, and having fun. These are things that don't exist in the world of cultivation. Fen Yanran gradually became familiar with the city under Hua's guidance. Her favorite place to go now is the Kyoto Snack Street. There are really too many things there. You can't finish it all in one day. There is also the ancient Great Wall of Architecture, which she and Xiao Chen would walk on foot every time. Looking at the vast scene around her, she sometimes thought that it was amazing that the people here could build such a great wall despite not knowing how to practice. Her favorite place is to take pictures of ancient costumes in the palace. She likes every outfit very much. She developed all the photos and kept them carefully one by one. Compared to Yanran, Zhaihan had more fun. Especially with his 2 cousins, he was taken around by Zhiwa every day and got to know many people of his own age. Compared with the life of a young master before, he prefers his current life. Mei Shui and Hians are still thinking about Xiaopeng, but it is extremely difficult for them to break through again. It will take no less than 100 years to ascend to a higher world. Even if the flow of time is different, there is nothing they can do. We can only hope that Xiaopeng will come out of the Weivue world, and then the family will really be reunited. With their current cultivation level, lifespan is no longer important. Their wish is not to live forever. Having this time, it's better to have a good time in the world of 2 people. No, Mei Shui started to party with Shuang and others during her stay in Kyoto. Every day is lived very freely. When Xiao saw his parents coming back, the first thing he wanted to do was to return the company to his father. Unfortunately, Hians was smarter than him. He ran out a long time ago. Now Anshan and others are slowly taking off the burden from their shoulders and placing it on their children. Hians and a group of his good cousins played all day long, which was very enjoyable. On this day, they were having a gathering in Bama village, and Anwen suddenly proposed that he wanted to go back to his hometown for a visit. This is a good idea. I haven't been back for a few years, so I just want to take Zhaihan and the others back to worship their ancestors. After hearing Anwen and the others' suggestion, Hians continued. Zhaihan and Yanran were the last ones to enter the house. They had not yet gone to offer incense to the old lady. There was also Xiao Cheng. He was not at home when the old lady left. That's right, Zhaihan came in later. It's time to offer incense to Grandma. I think Grandma will be very happy. When they talked about the 3rd Grandma, they all missed her. Thinking about the stick in the 3rd Grandma's hand, and the days when the 3rd Grandma chased them and beat them. Especially in Liang, he has the deepest relationship with his 3rd Grandma. In the past, the 3rd Grandma loved him very much, but he didn't even show filial piety to her, so she left. Brother Ans, I miss my grandma. As he said this, and Liang started crying. A person in his 40s or 50s cries like a child. When he cried, Anwen and others couldn't help but shed tears. You brat, why are you crying? If Grandma were here, she would hate to see us cry. Anwen slapped the 2 on Liang's angrily. Woo, but I just miss her. Do you still remember one time, when we went to play in the water, the 3rd grandmother knew about it, so she chased us with a stick and beat us. Recalling the past, and Liang said while crying. Come on, I'm obviously going to beat you. It's you who led the villagers to the waterhole, not us. And Shan rolled his eyes at him angrily. As we talked, everyone was caught up in memories of the past. Yes, we were all very poor back then, and we got our first pot of gold from selling eels with my sister-in-law. Yes, I don't know what happened to my sister-in-law at that time. She caught so many big eels. Now you understand, our sister-in-law is not an ordinary person. Hians listened to what they said, and he realized that he was not involved in these memories. But even so, he was able to construct those scenes. It's not just eels when we were smashing fish in the stream, and Wen was afraid that his sister-in-law wouldn't be able to hold the hammer. But what happened? Anshin asked. You kid, don't remember the good things. Just remember these. Am I the only one who thought about it at the time? And Wen rolled his eyes at him. But the days were miserable back then, but there was much more joy than now. Well, let's go back this time and play the games we played when we were kids again, and Liang suggested. I think it will work. I think it's okay too. After several men discussed it, they started talking to their families about returning to the village during dinner in the evening. It doesn't matter to the elderly anymore, their children are home wherever they are. Even if they die in the future, they will not return to the village, so it doesn't matter whether they go back or not. Children can go and play if they want to. At Enwen's house, Aunt Zillian's hair is now white. After her grandchildren are grown up, she can live her old life with peace of mind. You should take the children back with you when you go back. They may not even remember where your hometown is, Aunt Zillian said with a smile. Looking back on the past, she remembered more suffering. Uncle Jensi didn't expect that much. Now that he is here, he has a lot of company. He even made an appointment to play chess together tomorrow. You have to let them know the door. Your mother and I won't go back. It just so happens that you and Shuang go back to see your sister. Uncle Jensi was thinking about his daughter. After their family moved away, Kei Hongmei still lived in the village. Even though her living conditions are better now, she still hasn't lost her family's livestock, so she can be considered half a strong woman. Liming's furniture factory is also located in the county town, not far from home. The house at home is not any worse than the one in the city. Every family has made a fortune following the third aunt and her family, and the life they are living now is something they could not even imagine before. You know, their family had lost everything in the house just to treat his feet. If Hongmei hadn't brought some back from her husband's house, I'm afraid. Recalling some past events, Uncle Jensi also sighed deeply. When you go back, help me place incense sticks on my third aunt's grave. They used to go back during the Qingming festival, but now, they go back less often. I know, Dad. The other side. Both Anshin and Anliang mentioned returning to their hometowns. Aunt Mei Lian wanted to go back with her, but she couldn't leave home. Uncle Genkei didn't really want to go back. His relatives in his hometown didn't have much to see, and their belongings had already been moved out. As for what kind of love there really isn't any. Go back and help me put incense sticks for third aunt. The same answer as Uncle Jensi. I know, Dad. And Liang arrived. By the way, when you go back, do you want to take the children back? It's going to be a holiday soon. How about you wait for the children to have a holiday? Aunt Mei Lian asked. And Liang shook his head. I don't know. I'll ask Brother Ans and the others later. If they all take the children back, I will. Sure, you can ask me later. The Anshin family had no objections. His wife was very happy when she heard that she was going back to her hometown. Brother Shan, what do you think? We should go back and let our parents take care of the children. In these years, she had never had a good rest and took care of the children every day. I'm tired. The mother-in-law at home is not in good health, so she can't be allowed to take care of her. It happened to be time to go back to play, and of course she wanted to relax by herself. I think it's okay, but you have to ask Mom. His mom has been having a problem with her back pain. Even if you keep it every day, it will still be very uncomfortable when it's windy or rainy. Go ahead and tell me. I'm sorry, Anshin's wife said shyly. Okay, I'll go tell you. Aunt Zhengting wanted to go back with them to have a look. The old house at home has not been renovated for a long time, and she didn't know if it was leaking now. My Liang, won't they go back? Zhengting asked after hearing Anshin mentioning returning to his hometown. Anshin shook his head. I don't know, I haven't asked yet. Why are you going back? Your waist is uncomfortable. Isn't it uncomfortable for you to toss back and forth? Uncle Zhengting glanced at his wife and asked. It doesn't hurt at all, because I think I can make a car. And Zhengting really wanted to go back and take a look. So many years have passed and there has been no news about Enlin. She also wanted to go back and see if Enlin had come back. He did something wrong back then, but she still thinks of her son from time to time. Uncle Zhengting could tell what Aunt Zhengting was thinking at a glance. I don't know what your plans are yet, so don't think too much about it. Life is not bad now. In the past, Zhengtingbo might have thought about Enlin, but as time passed, no matter how deep his feelings were, they were wiped away. Given such high expectations, how did he repay himself in the end? He has to bear the good and bad life by himself, but he doesn't have to think about it here in Anshan. The older a person gets, the more refined he becomes, and he may be talking about Uncle Zhengting. What do I think? I don't have any ideas. It's normal for a mother to be thinking about her children. Anshan understood what they were saying, but he couldn't make any comments. The elder brother really hurt him too much. He regretted giving up his studies for him the most. But what can be done? He can't ignore his sick mother at home. Anshan's wife didn't know much about what happened in the past, but she sat quietly aside. Mom, if you want to know about Big Brother, I can help you find out. Anshan sighed and said. Aunt Zhengting raised her head and looked at Anshan, wanting to see if he was sincere. Zhengtingbo immediately said, no, his life or death has nothing to do with you. Your responsibility is only to me and your mother. Big Brother? Of course he has broken Anshan's heart many times for Enlin. Now that he is so old, he will not break his son's heart again. Aunt Zhengting opened her mouth, but finally said nothing. In that case, let's forget it. Anshan still complained about his eldest brother in his heart. Congratulations to Ans. After hearing that he wanted to return to his hometown, Xiaobai and Xiaocheng were the happiest. They miss the village very much. We can go to Yunwu Mountain to play when the time comes. Let me tell you, it's a lot of fun there. Before, Xiaobai would never let them go. But now, it's a really good place to go. I want to go wild boar hunting. Uncle Anliang and the others said that the wild boars on Wild Boar Mountain are delicious to eat. Every memory is different. It's not all meat. Why is it so delicious? Mei Shui looked at the two of them with a smile. My family was poor at that time, and if we wanted to eat meat, we had to wait until the Chinese New Year. It's not like now. I have long been tired of eating meat every day. Mei Shui also recalled what happened back then. It has been so long, but I have the most memories at that time. I really want to eat the small fish in the creek. The taste can't be replaced even now. A look of memories. Hians looked at them with a smile. Then let's go back and find the taste of childhood. You can have this. Zhishan has been there, but Zhihan has not been. He always thought that Kyoto was his hometown, but he didn't realize that they still had their hometown. Is it fun back home? Zhihan asked Zhishan softly. There's nothing fun, nothing compared to what we are here now. The place they are in now is Bama village. This is already a famous tourist attraction in Kyoto, and many people come here to visit on weekends. Zhihan looked unconvinced. Then why are grandparents so interested? That's because they grew up there. Because it wasn't long before the children went on vacation, everyone was waiting for the children to go on vacation and then took them back with them. Hejiakan. In recent years, because of the leadership of Hians and his family, everyone's life has been greatly improved. Just in the winter a year ago, a man came back to the village. Looking at the changes in the village, he almost didn't find his home. After asking people, I found out that the old road at home was washed away by the flood, and now a new cement road has been built to go around the mountain. He has changed so much that even people who have grown up together with him cannot recognize him at first glance. It was not long after he returned home that everyone reacted. The Hejia village now is not the Hejia village before. Many people from the neighboring village have moved here. Some come here to work, and some come here as contractors. In any case, Hejia village is now really prosperous. Enwei is no longer the village chief in the village. He was transferred to the city because of his good political performance. How long ago? He climbed to the central part of the city, which was also his ability. He has been maintaining the home in his hometown. He knew that his parents would not come back, but he still renovated the home. No family in the village can compare to Aunt He and He Jianbei's family. Aunt Zillian and her family only renovated the house and did not build any more houses. So it looks a lot tattered. Hung Mei built a new house where she used to raise pigs, and now most of them live there. Zheng Tingbo's house, because Anshan and the others have no intention of returning home after establishing themselves in Kyoto. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 570. Chapter 570, Enlin. Besides, they also have a house in Bama village now, and the environment there is much better. The old house is repaired or not. The person who returned to the village was none other than Enlin. Having been away from home for decades, now he is back alone. He really has no face to see his parents. Originally, he planned to take a look at his parents and leave, but to his surprise, there was no one at home. After asking, I learned that the family had already moved away from the village. He also heard what happened to Anshan. His younger brother had become more capable and led his parents to live a good life, and he felt less guilty. So he broke the lock on the house and moved in. It wasn't until the next day that people by the stream discovered that there was smoke rising from a house on the mountain. When they came up to take a look, they learned that Enlin was back. The older generation stepped forward to scold Enlin when they saw him. Some of them had a good relationship with Aunt Zhangting, and even went up to give Enlin a few beatings for her. Enlin has endured all this. I also expressed my modesty to the elders in the village. But things have happened. Is Dao Qian useful? After being beaten and scolded, the elders asked about Enlin. Enlin didn't hide anything and told about his experiences outside. The first few years before I went out were fine, as my wife and he both made money. But later, the daughter-in-law was dazzled by the prosperity of the city, and she began to dislike him. Said he had no ability and could not make money. He said he couldn't support her, and that he was useless and couldn't even conceive a child, etc. Enlin endured it all. He really liked her and wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. A few years later, she found someone outside. After being discovered by him, she actually asked the adulterer to beat him up, and then the two divorced. That's it, Enlin is not angry. What he was most angry about was that she still didn't let him go. Not only did he lose his job, but she also pushed him to a dead end. Enlin couldn't bear it anymore and finally left there. After leaving, his life gradually became better. But the only job he could do was as a coolie. At this time, he regretted why he didn't learn winemaking from his sister-in-law. But what's the use of regretting? No amount of regret can make up for the things he did before. He always wanted to come back to see his parents, but he was afraid. Afraid that his parents would not forgive him, or that his parents would kick him out. Just like that, day by day passed. He didn't look for it again. I spent all the money I earned by myself. As he got older, he began to think about the worries his parents had for him. Start saving money. Because of saving money, he became more and more unkempt. Looks like a deserter. Now, as he gets older, he misses home. He misses his parents and his younger brother. I originally wanted to come back and take a sneak peek, leave some money for my parents, and give some more to Anshin, just to make up for his mistakes back then. I just didn't expect that they were no longer in their hometown. After learning that Anshin was living a good life in Kyoto, he had no intention of looking for him. Since his parents were not at home, he would just stay at home. This is his home and his childhood memories. People get homesick when they reach a certain age. The people in the village were living a good life, so he followed suit and opened a vegetable patch in the back mountain. Sold some vegetables every year to ensure his own food and drink. Now that he has no home and no wife to support, his life has been pretty good. Compared to a man of 1 year, Enlin lived like a man in his 70s or 80s. Anshin didn't know that his brother had actually come back. But it's not important, just come back when you come back. Everything here was originally prepared by his father for him. This is his home. This is also the reason why Anshin has not mentioned repairing the old house for so many years. Time flies and it's time for the children to have their holidays. As soon as the holiday came, several families began to prepare. Most of the people traveling this time were young people, so no one planned to fly and all traveled by car. We talked and laughed along the way and played while walking. It took them more than half a month to return to Ming County. As soon as they arrived in the county, they immediately went to find Enwei. Enwei learned about everyone's arrival and immediately went to the unit to ask for leave. Fortunately, everyone is a respectable person, and the leader in the unit was very happy and directly gave Enwei 10 days of leave. It made Enwei very happy. Since we are all in the county seat, of course we should go and see Ma Liming. No, the team is getting bigger and bigger. However, Ma Liming mentioned something that affected everyone's good mood. Brother-in-law, is my eldest brother really back? Anshin's heartbeat was a little fast. Maybe it's because he was suppressed by his brother for too long when he was a child. After so many years, he still can't get over that hurdle in his heart. Ma Liming also felt a little sorry for Anshin. He originally planned to call Zheng Tingbo's home, but Enlin stopped him. He said that he did not come back to trouble his parents, and besides, they were living a good life now, so there was no need to tell them. Ma Liming also thought about Anshin and didn't want him to have any conflicts with his parents about Enlin, so he chose not to say anything. It's true, but your eldest brother has changed a lot. Ma Liming gave Anshin an explanation. It's a pity that Anshin was hurt so deeply that he didn't believe that he would change. Brother-in-law, I know that whether he is good or not, it has nothing to do with me. Anshin took a deep breath and said. If he really changed his mind, as a brother, he would help. But if he didn't change his mind, then he wouldn't mind avenging the hatred he had suffered back then. Looking at Anshin's expression changing there, everyone felt very sad. Hyans walked up to Anshin and patted him. Don't think so much. Whether it has changed or not, you will know it when you see the person. They stopped on the reservoir and had some fun here. We will enter the village in a moment. You should talk to your siblings and the children. No matter what, he is also their uncle. We cannot throw away the due etiquette. Hyans persuaded Anshin. No matter how much he said, there was no need to say anything. Anshin was not an unreasonable person. The beautiful mountains and green waters are not as good as those in the world of cultivation, but they are indeed rare outside. In Ming County, only Hejiakan is the best developed. There are also many people coming and going. Xiao Yi is very capable. He made arrangements for the reservoir when he left. Now the village chief of Hejia village is also following Xiao Yi's plan. In other people's words, the current village chief is just Xiao Yi's tool man. However, only the parties involved know the facts. There is food and drink on the reservoir dam. It's noon, and everyone doesn't want to go into the village and trouble others, so they eat here. The meals are all farm-style stir-fries, which have a unique flavor. Just the Anshin couple did not have much thought to appreciate the taste when eating. When the sun was about to go down, the large army began to head towards the village. Looking at the stone tablet at the entrance of the village, the group began to tease Anyang. That's right, it was Anyang. He engraved everything that Ans and his wife had done on the stone tablet and informed everyone. Let those who come to visit see the two people's contribution to the village. The surrounding villages are envious of Hejia village, but unfortunately, their village does not have such capable people. To build a road, you need 3 people and 4 people. Every house is filled with gunpowder smoke, and the cattle and sheep that went out in the village in the morning also return home at this time. Their car was so huge that it was spotted by those with sharp eyes as soon as they entered the village. Come around immediately. Isn't this Xiao Yang? Why are you back? As soon as he finished speaking, he found other acquaintances in the surrounding cars. Oh, you brothers are all back together. After saying this, the uncle laughed. In this case, everyone had to stop the car, let a few people drive in first, and walk back on the road. There is no other way, the people in the village are too enthusiastic, you have to get out of the car. And when Anshan Anliang took out cigarettes from his car and started smoking them when he saw people. Hello, uncle, aunt, uncle, auntie. His mouth was almost crooked with a smile. It's not good that the adults didn't come back with me. I have to deal with the elders in the village by myself. If adults were here, they could just be children, right? He Ans and Mei Shui were not recognized by many people, so they did not get out of the car. They directly asked Xiaobai and others to take over the other people's cars and drove to the parking lot by the creek. That's right, this place is now well planned by Xiao Yi. The villagers notified the village chief of Xiao Yi's arrival. At this time, he was afraid that he would be invited by the village chief. Getting out of the car and looking at the changes everywhere, Mei Shui and Hians looked at each other and smiled. It's familiar yet strange at the same time, Mei Shui said with a smile. Yes, I haven't been back for many years, only they understand their conversation. The juniors were all confused. Grandpa, where shall we sleep tonight? The grandson of the Anwen family asked. That's right, the ones brought here this time are all grandchildren. For example, Anshan in Anliang did not have any grandchildren yet, so they brought their youngest son over. The grandson of the Anwen family is only 3 years old. The little girl looks very much like her grandfather. Ans picked up the person and said, how about we live on the mountain? Build a tent by yourself, he teased the child. Okay, okay, the little girl was so happy. Well, another person is going crazy. No matter how Ans and Mei Shui changed, their appearance still didn't change much. Like the Masamatsu family and the Menmei family, they all still live in the village. The men had just returned from working in the fields. When they passed by the parking lot, they were recognized at a glance. Ans, Xiaoxiu, are you back? The two came back from herding cattle together. They looked at the people in the parking lot and shouted in disbelief. The conditions are good now, but they are not lazy people, let alone people who enjoy happiness. Like Grandma Meng's family, his speech is still a little unclear. It whined twice and the sound was still loud. Of course Mei Shui and Hians discovered them. Brother Angxiang seeing the person standing there, the two of them recognized who it was at a glance. Took the children over to say hello to the two of them. Also let the children call people. Since Grandma Meng left, Mei Shui hasn't been to Angxiang's house much. Grandpa, how are you, uncle? The children are very well behaved. Zhishan and Zhihan were responsible for taking care of the children throughout the whole process. Xiaobai, Jiaolong, and Dabai began to move out of the car and salute. Where do they live? Of course I live in the He family courtyard. Each generation of village chiefs in the courtyard will come over to help clean it up. It can be said that the small wooden building has become the most eye-catching place in the village. Xiaobai is very familiar with this place. He is like a master, directing everyone to work together. The same goes for Xiao Cheng and Yan Ran. After calling someone, They also started to help Xiaobai move things home. It's getting late, and it will be dark soon. When Xiaobai took Dabai and Jiaolong up to the middle of the mountain, Enlin was collecting the dried vegetables in his yard. A group of strangers came, and he looked defensive. "Who are you?" Enlin put down the things in his hands, bent down and asked Xiaobai and others. "There are only a few houses here, and they have all moved away." Xiaobai looked at the person in front of him and sighed in his heart. Why did the young man back then become like this now? He is a bit older than He Zhengting. "We are from the He family, so you must be." Enlin Xiaobaizhui inherited Grandma He, so she can say whatever she wants. "Hey, you can't survive outside anymore, you finally think this is your home." Enlin couldn't believe it when he heard that the young man in front of him recognized him. "Young man, do you know me?" He frowned. His appearance doesn't look like a lie, but how old is he? How is it possible to know him? "No, I've known you since I was a kid, but people back then were much more energetic than they are now," Xiaobai said in surprise. Enlin was confused. "When you were a child?" "Don't be ridiculous, young man, how old are you when he was a child?" This child was probably not even born yet. Xiaobai didn't want to bother with him anymore, there were still a lot of things to move. Believe it or not, after saying that, he shook his head and left. In Grandma's words, this kind of person will be obedient after being beaten 3 times a day. He was beaten too little when he was a child. Seeing Xiaobai ignoring his back, Enlin was still confused. But when he saw him walking towards Grandma He's house, he ran over quickly. "Hey, who are you? Why are you opening other people's doors?" He really didn't know these people, so he stepped forward to intercept them. The doors were all open, and he couldn't stop him. "This is our home. Do we still need your permission to go back to our own home?" Enlin was unloved when he was a child, and he is still so disliked now. At this time, Zhishan came over and said, "Uncle Xiaobai, just say a few words less." Zhishan walked up to Enlin and said, "Hello, Grandpa Enlin. I am He-An's grandson. My name is Zhishan." Over the years, he rarely received respect from others. Now that he heard someone call him such a polite name, Enlin felt sad. "Good boy, you said you are brother An's grandson? But this child is too big. How many years does he feel? I don't live in the same world as them. Don't talk about grandchildren, he didn't even leave a son. Now that I'm so old, it's really. Yes, it belongs to my grandpa's second son's family." After speaking, Zhishan pulled Zhihan over and said, "This belongs to my third uncle's family. His name is Zhihan." Zhihan was a little confused, but he politely called Grandpa Enlin. Enlin was envious and sighed. "If I didn't think so much back then, would I have grandchildren now? Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in the world. You're the only one coming back. Haven't your parents, grandparents, and grandma come back?" Enlin became a little excited at this time. It felt like I was finally going to meet my parents-in-law. Dear relatives. He is the person he has thought about and longed for all his life. He didn't cherish it before, but now, he looks forward to it very much. I really want to see them, but I am afraid of meeting them. It's very contradictory anyway. End of this chapter. 80s, the farmer's wife is the boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 571. Chapter 571, Meeting After Many Years. "Oh, my grandparents are talking to Uncle Angxiang and the others in the parking lot below. My parents are still moving things below," Zhihan replied as he was the closest. Once he heard that the adults were back, Enlin felt a little uneasy. Okay, just come back." After saying that, Enlin left on his own, the panic in his heart causing his steps to panic. Looking at Enlin's back, Zhishan and Zhihan were both a little confused. "Let's go." It took several trips back and forth to move several cars of stuff up. Fortunately, they are practitioners, otherwise they would all be exhausted. When He Ans and Mei Shui came up, they glanced at the closed door of He Jingting's house. Both of them sensed that there was someone inside, but if he didn't come out, they wouldn't take the initiative to knock on the door. Let's wait until Anshan and the others come back to discuss anything. The He family courtyard, which had been quiet for a long time, became lively again. It was getting late, and Anwen and the others hadn't come back yet, so Mei Shui and Yan Ran started preparing dinner. Yan Ran didn't eat much in the past, but now that she has been with the He family for a long time, she has developed the habit of eating 3 meals a day. Mom, what should we cook? The only things they brought back were meat dishes, not side dishes. It's okay, you ask Xiao Cheng to take a look and buy some from the villagers. The village is a vegetable base and I'm afraid there will be no vegetables to eat. Oh, I'll call him. And Lin has been at home. He is afraid of someone knocking on the door, and he is also looking forward to someone coming to call him. He kept waiting and waiting. It was getting darker and darker, but he didn't dare to turn on the light. When Anshan and the others came back, the street lights in the village were all on. And Wei was invited to dinner. They declined everyone's enthusiasm because Brother Ans was at home. Walking on the way up the mountain, Anshan felt a little uneasy. While chatting with the villagers, he also learned about Enlin, saying that he had changed now, that he had received his retribution, and so on. Let him not worry about the past things. After all, they are brothers. Let the past be past. When he heard these words, he was actually very upset, but the people who said these words were elders, and he couldn't talk back. We can only accept them all. But now that he was almost home, he still couldn't decide whether to forgive or not. His wife saw that he was not paying attention while walking, so she knew what he was thinking and tightened his hand. Are you okay? Looking at him with some worry, fearing that he might be upset because of the eldest brother he had never met. If you haven't made up your mind, you can go see him again tomorrow. Anshan smiled at his daughter-in-law who was comforting him. I understand, don't worry, let's go. You have to face what you have to face. Having gone through so many things, he is not afraid of this. After making a decision in his heart, Anshan's pace became a little faster. And when and Li Shuang did not go to their eldest sister's house, saying they would go tomorrow. Ma Liming went home directly. She is my cousin after all, and everyone plans to officially go there for a walk tomorrow. They didn't say anything about Enlin along the way. Seeing Anshan's current state, everyone let him go first. When he reached the door of his home, he stopped again. Anshan's wife had been by his side. When she saw that he didn't move, she also stood beside him and didn't move. Anwen sighed, let's go. When did you become such a mother-in-law? Anwen couldn't stand it, so he stepped forward and gave him a push. Anshan looked back at brother Anwen. Finally nodded. Strode towards the familiar hometown. Anwen and the others did not follow, but turned directly to the He family courtyard. Anshan knocked on the door with his children. I know you are inside, open the door. Anshan's voice sounded calm, without any anger. But Anshan's wife, who knew him well, knew that he was actually very nervous. Enlin heard a strange voice and couldn't remember who it was for a moment, but judging from his tone, he was afraid it was Anshan. He did not dare to neglect, and went forward to open the kitchen door with anxiety and nervousness. Looking at the drastically changed person in front of him, Enlin didn't recognize who it was for a moment. Who are you? Ben asked. Anshan opened his mouth. He thought he would be very angry, but after seeing his appearance, Anshan's eyes turned red. How did you become like this? The man in front of him still looks the same as he did decades ago. He looks even older than his father. How have you lived these past few decades? How did you end up like this? Anshan asked with some choking. Enlin was a little confused, but seeing him like this, he knew who he was. Shanzi, are you Shanzi? and Lin pointed at the person in front of him with a trembling hand and asked with a choked voice. Anshin nodded, "Well, I'm Shanzi." After saying that, Anshin took his wife into the kitchen. Turn on the light familiarly. Under the light, Lin's appearance was no longer obscured, and it all appeared in his eyes. Anshin did not expect that the high-spirited eldest brother back then would turn into such a wasteful old man now. "Where is your wife? Why did you come back alone? Where are the children?" Anshin walked to the kitchen table and sat down, frowning and asking. Anshin's wife didn't talk much, so she naturally stayed away from them. There were quite a few places to sit in the kitchen, and she wasn't a pretentious person, so she found a place and sat down. And Lin's heart kept thinking after hearing his admission, and now he heard him asking himself, and Lin walked to Anshin step by step like a child who made mistakes. "She is no longer with me. My child, I have never left a child in my life," and Lin said with a bitter smile. Anshin originally thought he was kicked out by his family, but he didn't expect it to end like this. He opened his mouth, but in the end nothing came out, so he sighed. "What are you going to do in the future? Now, no matter how much I hate him, I can't hate him anymore." No matter how much he complained, he couldn't complain. Back then, the eldest brother was the clouds in the sky, and he was the clay on the ground, but what about now? Everything is retribution, as the old people in the village said. "Originally, I planned to come back to see my parents and see if they were okay. I have been alone these years and I have earned some money. I wanted to leave it to you as compensation for the year, but I didn't expect you to be so promising." As he spoke, Lin laughed and said, "It's good to have a good breath. It's good to have a good breath." Looking at the regretful look on his face, Anshin wanted to roar with him about his emotions back then, but what's the use of talking about it? He has become like this, what else can be done to him? Kill him? We are living a good life. You can keep the money for yourself. My parents are also very good. My mother wanted to come back this time, but she is old and I didn't let her go." Anshin and Lin talked about some things at home. The time was forgotten while chatting, and they didn't stop until Liang came over to call them. Anshin's wife came over and said, "Brother, you haven't had dinner yet," but Liang came over and called, "Let's go and have dinner together." She knew that her man had forgiven the eldest brother in his heart. And Lin then looked at Anshin's wife and said with satisfaction, "This is my sister-in-law. Thank you for taking care of my parents all these years." And Lin thanked her sincerely. Anshin's wife shook her head, "This is the duty of a daughter-in-law, and I don't deserve my thanks. Come on, brother, let's go have dinner together. You didn't do this." Anshin also joined in, "That's right, Anwen and the others are here. You haven't seen them for several years." As he spoke, Anshin helped Lin up and led him out. When Liang saw the door open, the first thing he saw was Shan supporting an old man. Even though they are in their 40s or 50s, they are not that old. Looking no different from those in their 30s. But why does this man look older than Uncle Zhengting? You know, Uncle Zhengting is already 60 or 70 years old. And Liang's mouth twitched and he said, "Are you brother Lin?" he said with a look of disbelief. And Shan nodded, and Lin responded with a smile, "Yes, I am Lin. You have become a promising boy. Have you married a wife?" Maybe Anshin accepted him, and Lin smiled more. "Married, my sons are now very big," and Liang said in surprise. Can't blame him, the brothers have been together all year round, and no matter how many changes they have, they will not feel anything. But after seeing Lin, he will think of his own age. Among the few people, he and Cheng were the younger ones. But they are all in their 40s. He will be 50 happily soon, but Ling is like this. Some people believe that he is 80 or 90 years old. The difference between them is probably too big. Okay, aren't you hungry? Come on, let's eat first, and we'll talk about anything after dinner. Anshin was hungry. The food cooked by my sister-in-law can be smelled even from a distance. Yes, 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 look at my memory, let's go eat. And Liang also joined the team of helping people. Those who didn't know thought he was their grandfather. The He family courtyard is really crowded and lively. From a distance, I heard the shouts of several children in the house. There are also the sounds of children and parents shouting there. It's a nice day today, and the dinner table is set up in the yard. 2 tables were opened, and when Anshan and the others came in, they saw Zhishan there helping Li Shuangshuang take care of his grandson. You brat, let's see if you're still skinny or not, I'm your brother's. Zhishan was almost off. This boy actually put bugs in his clothes. If he wasn't afraid of insects, he would have jumped into the sky long ago. The people on the side were laughing loudly. Aren't you afraid of bugs biting your hands? Zhiming is just over 4 years old this year, which is exactly Pai's age. How could he be afraid of insects? Brother, you are a coward. The brat looked at his cousin with disgust. My sister is not even afraid of these bugs. Well, I originally thought he was just using it to tease his brother, but unexpectedly, he actually also took action against his sister. At this time, Li Shuangshuang couldn't bear it anymore. She comes from a family that values sons over daughters. Ever since she gave birth to a daughter, it has been a pain. In her family, that is the preference for girls over boys. Even Anwen doesn't know how to fart. He was influenced by Nzi and Mei Shui, and he also liked his daughter very much. Every day, I treat this granddaughter like a treasure. Now when he heard what his grandson said, Anwen stepped forward and slapped his twice without saying a word. You brat, you dare to give your sister bugs to play with. I think you deserve a beating. Soon, Zhiming's crying could be heard from the courtyard. Watching him being beaten, no one stepped forward to help. They all went to his sister to see if she had been bitten by an insect. And Shan helped Enlin into the yard. What's going on? Seeing Zhiming being beaten, he stepped forward and asked. Seeing Anshan and the others coming back, everyone at home looked over. Everyone was shocked when they saw Enlin. Hians was sitting leisurely under the sweet-scented osmanthus tree, but at this moment he also stood up. Look at Enlin. After practicing cultivation for so many years, the reason for Enlin's physical condition can be seen at a glance. There is too much shortfall. I'm afraid I won't have a few good years to live. Are you brother Enlin? And when let go of Zhiming, stood up and asked. Had they not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed that this was Enlin back then. Enlin knew his situation. Well, I'm Enlin. It's great to see you again. If only I could see my parents again. He died contented. Quick, Anshan, help your brother come over and sit down. Enlin was several months younger than Hians. But now, Hians can be regarded as Enlin's grandson. Brother Enlin, how did you get here all these years? They asked their questions one by one. Enlin was not disgusted and spoke out their questions one by one. After hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, Enlin has been single for so many years. Okay, let's go. After looking at it, I think Zhengtingbo and the others will be very happy to see Enlin. I think they will be happy to see their eldest son again in his later years. Looking at Mei Shui bringing out the food, and stepped forward and interrupted them. Forget the mistakes he made back then, he has also received his own punishment. Mixu and Yan Ran also saw Enlin when they came out, but they still had some dishes to finish, so they nodded and said hello. After the food was put on the table, everyone sat down. The brothers of the He family sat at one table, while the women and children sat on the other side. Mei Shui didn't want to get involved in their affairs, so she didn't ask any more questions. She has never had a good impression of Enlin, but she can't say she has any resentment. As if he does not exist. This is her nature. While eating, Li Shuangshuang asked about Enlin. Mei Shui explained to her in a very soft voice. Not only explained it to her, but also to Anshin's wife. By the time Anshin's wife came in, he was already developing in Kyoto. So I don't know much about the past. After listening to Mei Shui's words, Anshin's wife sighed, now I finally know why he always lets his children go to school. He is regretting that he failed to seize the opportunity to go to school. Yes, you should be considerate of him, but your two children are also worthy of success, Mei Shui said to Anshin's wife with a smile. Yes, he's not like that boy in my family, he really makes me angry. Li Shuang was very dissatisfied with his son. She was able to become a grandmother so quickly, and her son really contributed to it. He didn't learn well at a young age, but he actually learned how to find a wife for himself. If it weren't for the fact that his wife could live well, she wouldn't have agreed to his marriage so early. Several women also have their own secret words. After serving the two little ones, they walked to the backyard, which Mei Shui had renovated a long time ago to make it very leisurely. End of this chapter.